Hey, this is Chase Sexton. You're listening to the MotoXpod show.
What's up, you guys? Jeremy McGrath here. You are listening to MotoXpod show.
Hey, it is time for the #1 live motocross podcast on Tuesday nights. It's the Vital MX MotoXpod show presented by Racetech and Yamaha Motor USA. Hangtown is a wrap, and what a freaking race that was. Man, what a sport we have. Lots of fun stuff to get into. Some great guest night tonight from Rockstar Husqvarna. Malcolm Stewart will be on the phone, and we'll talk to Honda HRC's Chance Hymas. We were supposed to have a special guest in studio, AEO Power Sports. Lux Turner was supposed to be involved in studio tonight. He texted me about an hour ago, and he had a crash today. And then apparently the van broke down on the way home. Things just didn't go ideal for Lux today. So no Lux Turner in studio, but I do have from Vital MX in studio because we are still in California. Michael Lindsay, what's up, ML?
Were you muted for most of that intro? Or am I muted?
You were muted. Yeah, I had you muted until just now. I was good.
Well, why is that one written that way?
We're not using 2 or 4.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm one?
At home, like I have mics on those, so I mute them so they don't pick up. So I just have them.
I was wondering.
Yeah, you're number 1.
Yes.
I'm number 3 because that was my old race number, and I just remember it. So, but no, I was unmuted. I hope.
I just saw you click that part with you, and I'm like,
Yeah, no, I just unmuted you as I was getting ready to introduce you. But yeah, so you and I all alone.
All alone.
No Lux. Last week we had
one less thing I have to do.
Yeah, we had
one less thing
a rider bail on us last week.
These shows are easy. It's very easy to get people to come on. It's very easy. I mean, you already had a guest change even coming into this one, but thank you to Chance Hymas for answering on very last minute.
Yeah, we were supposed to have Vial. He said he couldn't do this week. Hymas answered within minutes, so that's going to be great.
Chance,
surprisingly, I told you this story a little while ago. I was at GH today with Kiefer, and Mathis drove out, and we were talking about I'll be in studio with Kiefer for Pulp next Monday, and I was leaving. I said, you know what? I'm doing your show next week. You should do mine. Just joking, thinking he'd be like, yeah, I'm out. And he was like, dude, I would have done it if I hadn't had this other plan. And like he was.
Are you sure he didn't say that to make you feel better?
He could have, but he said it so believingly that I believe him.
Or are you gullible?
Probably. Maybe I want to believe it. But how cool? That'd be cool if Steve had come over, because I don't know that he's ever done another podcast, but regardless, it's you and I for episode 316, Malcolm Stewart, Chance Hymas, Hangtown. You and Lewis already did a nice review of the show. You guys go check that out, Vital MX, on our podcast feed. But we're going to get into some topics.
We have very hard-hitting questions. Lewis still needs to know if it's Chance. Or
should we ask him? Well, that's a good question. Like, do you mind when Lewis, our Brit says Chance?
Lewis,
I like Chance.
No, there was Chance and there was Chance.
Well, I think he was just trying to find another way to say his name in the moment, but I think I'm going to call him Chance tonight.
Chance
Hymas.
No.
Hummus. Good stuff, but we're going to get into the Racetech Open discussion, and you guys know all about Racetech and their suspension, but they also are building reliable world-class engines, which requires a combination of state-of-the-art equipment and experienced, knowledgeable technicians. Racetech provides quality precision engine services using the best equipment and processes in the industry. Yeah, a lot of you guys probably don't know that Racetech does a lot of engine work, has a lot of parts, so hit up racetech.com. Get them to work on your suspension if you need some revalving or some fluid changes, but they can also help you with your engine work. Have you used any Racetech engine stuff?
Yeah, a couple times. I actually used them first year in my race team, number
nice.
1. I've had them do a handful of project bikes. Really, I think big thing is they have enough resources. They have a good head spec for about everything. They're not like, they don't assemble your engine kind of thing. It's like you can send off a cylinder head to them. They have pistons to send back with them, sometimes cam specs or stuff. What I've just found is everything I've had done by them is super good quality, super reliable, just really easy, like plug and play. Just like a really, like, I'm very confident everything I've done with them, like, I'm going to get pretty good results for my money, in a sense.
Yeah, I think they provide engine services to a lot of teams, and they don't advertise it so much. But, if you're looking for some work on your engine or your suspension, racetech.com, you can find your local service center. reach out to Checkers and the guys. They will get you taken care of. Hangtown, a lot of big stories. You kind of wanted to touch on a little bit like Jett Lawrence's crash and what that looks like going forward into Lakewood.
Well, I hate to say it, I'm sure it's the common theme a lot of people are thinking is it makes the series interesting. Not to say that Chase and Hunter weren't bringing it to, bringing the excitement, bringing the battle, but the points gap, 24 points down. If you just do the dumb math of if he were to win every moto from here on out and Chase getting second, that's still, I believe, 8 motos to tie it up. Mm-hmm. That would bring us into like Redbutt's second moto. And the chances that happen, him going next 8 motos straight, aren't that high. So, I mean, it's definitely, he's going to have to bow back from it, unlike him getting banged up. Like Lars compared it to when he talked to Lewis about kind of similar about as banged up as he was after the Barsha incident at St. Louis.
Yep.
But you had a weekend off after that. We don't this time. You would just kind of lean to, okay, he's probably not going to be 100%, but not terrible at Thunder Valley. If he did take a big gash out his leg, Thunder Valley, a lot of off-cameras, long-standing ruts for him. I'm sure he'll work the legs, might get a little tired late in the most. We may not have winning performances on this weekend. He'll still salvage extremely good points. He can still win motos, but there's a decent chance that Chase could come out there, get another moto win, maybe 2, and not either keep that points gap flat or maybe even put a little more into it where Jett might even have a little more of a deficit after Thunder Valley, which you got to say for anybody watching, like, that's just going to make the series interesting. Yeah,
it has got me more excited because after Fox, I was kind of like, oh, man, here we go again. I'm more excited, and I think MX Sports has done a great job of scripting the series. It's really a good story this season.
We went from the perfect rookie to let's just have him randomly fly off the bike at Hangtown.
Because now it's going to be the comeback story, right? Last year was the domination. Now it's like, oh, he can even do it from behind.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you talk all the other riders into allowing that to happen in these, conspiracy theories of scripted sports, but. Yeah, I'm way more excited. I can't wait for Thunder Valley because
I'm more excited for Thunder Valley than I am the opener of the season.
Yeah, you said that a little while ago, and I agree because I don't have Jett winning this weekend. I think Chase is going to win again. Like I feel him going 1-1. I just think after the ride he had at Hangtown, the guy's on fire. He's more confident than he has been in the bike. He knows he can do it, and I see him going 1-1. And that maybe that points gap grows a little bit and. I'm stoked. I can't wait.
The only thing I'm a little nervous about, and let me ask you this, watching back Hangtown, in that second moto performance, again, that's probably the best we've ever seen Chase ride. Literally, I'll use the short term DGAF, just not giving any fucks whatsoever. There were some moments, like there's 4 or 5 times I thought he was hitting the ground.
He got
lucky.
The
only thing that worries me about that is like, okay, where for Chase do we put our expectations? Do we come in and ride that aggressive? Do we go slightly a notch down from that, knowing Jett might not be firing on all cylinders as long as we get decent starts? I'm just wondering, like, can he, that level we saw right there, can he touch that level without going down like we saw? Can he ride right on the edge and maintain it there for a couple rounds to put in a points gap enough that maybe he can play maintenance mode later in the season? Or we've got this points gap. Do we ride that edge too much and throw it away in one of the next 2 to 4 motos when we really need to just maintain?
Yeah, I feel like he was a little over the edge this past weekend, which is why we had those DGAF moments, those close calls, and you're not going to get away with that very often. Like I just said a minute ago, he got lucky. Maybe lucky's not the right word, but there were some moments where if he rides that same way this weekend, well, maybe it doesn't go so well, and he does go down. So I say back it down. And it's interesting because for him to go that fast and have that kind of ride, I feel like he was over the edge a little bit. But then when Jett rides that well, he's not really ever over the edge. So if that's the only scary part is I think Jett can do that without going over the edge.
The fun part I'm waiting to see, though, is the two of them, okay, if Chase can find that edge, is watch him and Jett truly push each other's pace. However, look at Jett, first moto. A funny one I saw people like, basically, why Jett finished the moto? He should have pulled off. 24th gate pick is still a lot better than 4th gate pick. And what Chase did, you never give up to the last lap. If you have the mentality of, I'll just pull off and rest up and be better, this guy's work hard enough. If that's your mentality, then you shouldn't basically even line up if your backup is to to just, I'll just pull off and get ready for the
Well,
next
and
moto.
you brought up the point with Lewis the moment when McGrath kind of had that regret, right? So that
ego, hey, I can pick up points later. I'll pull off this moto,
Right.
and that's, as he said, that's what cost him his second outdoor title. Which, in McGrath's case, I know it weighs weird because he only has one premier outdoor title. He would have had two in his only 4 or 5 attempts at a premier outdoor championship. Would have changed, maybe some people's opinion of him is, he wasn't an outdoor guy. He wasn't that bad. Outdoor,
No, for sure. And you don't pull off because typically Jett's going to get points. Like
definitely shows how big injury. I thought he was going to get to points.
Me too. I was very, very surprised when I was looking at the lap times or the ticker on the side. And like, he's not making up very many spots. I was a bit surprised because I expected him to go through pretty quick.
Yeah.
Which,
I think if it was a hot, it would have weighed on him, but if it was a hotter round, it probably would have weighed on other guys more and helped. Either way, I'm curious to see how it goes. The one thing that I was going to say is 24th gate pick still almost pulled a whole shot.
Yeah, that is
still, we've talked about before, Chase, what Chase showed at Hangtown, he has the speed. I think that speed he ran, that's capable of potentially winning even against Jett. We know he has the pace. We know he has the fitness. Mm-hmm. Here's the problem. We still need starts. How do you beat, Jett gets firing on all cylinders and starts pulling whole shots again. And if you're Chase, like he was a lot this week, you're starting 9th or 10th, you're still just putting yourself in a really rough situation.
You are. I mean, Chase, I keep wanting to say Chance because we have Chance on the phone, but Chase or Chance, Choss Sexton has to get better starts clearly and stay up with Jett. And I do think he can run that pace. I think we're seeing the 22 Chase coming back.
Yeah.
So if he could get top 3 starts, I think he'll be okay. That's the key though, right? You guys were talking about, or Lewis was talking about scoop versus non-scoop, and
that's where he was saying, 450 guys lock. He was talking about Jett. I don't think Jett needs, but if I'm curious with Chase how much he can push that on once we get to the softer rounds, because it seems like he needs every little bit of help he can. Because even this weekend, I saw his jump was good. I don't know if it was RPM, throttle. He got 8 up the first 10 feet out of the gate. So I don't know if just bad clutch engagement, maybe they did the overhead drone shots. I don't know how much his front lifted. His jump was even kind of with the guys around him, but something happened in the first 10, 15 feet where he instantly got pinched off. He did a really good job of managing the first 2 corners of the second moto because he still came out. Jett almost had the whole shot, but then got pinched a little bit into the second corner, and they go over that first table actually pretty side by side, like kind of 7th, 8th each, something like that. And then, of course, Chase washes the rear in the next corner.
Yeah.
Either way, he actually came back from it pretty well. But I look at that situation, if we're getting out of the gate, if it's just that drive the first little bit, does the scoop help there? Can we get away with it?
You mentioned when they go east, yes. I don't think the scoop would be ideal in Thunder Valley.
No, it's not. If anybody's running it this weekend, I will be shocked.
Yeah, I mean that
qualifying,
start,
yes, but
the start up the hill, it'd be great. But once you get past that, you don't want it. Can we do a mandatory pit stop? Can we implement that? Scoop to the top of the hill, everybody switch.
Be funny. Like I said, one I would be kind of interested to see is screw with people is that some of the really soft rounds or something is still just not not going back. They really till up the starts.
Yeah.
But like I said, you kind of have to with the really long starts. Otherwise, we experienced at the regional this weekend, they ripped our start decent, not as much as they do at the national. We're going into the first corner that fast. Fox is a medium length start. You get into some of the big starts if you don't rip anymore with the power of these bikes. Yeah, you're going to be going Mach 20. I think of Millville, very fast right-handed start.
You said Mach 20, and I think in the review show you said Mach 10. But is Mach 1 fastest or is Mach 10?
Mach, the number as it gets higher. Mach is a measurement of what is it? The sound speed of sound. What is Mach?
Sound barrier. Yeah,
sound barrier. But Mach, the number is higher. Mach 1 is
because when you go DEF CON, people go DEF CON 10, but actually DEF CON 1 is the worst.
Worst, yeah.
So I wasn't sure if it was the same with Mach.
Think of did you not watch Top Gun Maverick? He's trying to break Mach 10.
Yeah, okay.
He's trying to break Mach 10.
Right.
He breaks Mach 10, goes to 10.3, and then blows up.
Well, ignore my interruption then. I was just curious.
Yeah, Tom Cruise, typical, the whole, this is the only look I have as he's sitting there smoking.
Yeah. I blame not having a scoop for my poor performance this weekend, by the way.
Kiefer had it. Look at those whole shots.
Yeah, he crushed it. We'll get to some Loretta's talk here in just a second. We're going to jump into our Yamaha Motor USA highs and lows, and that'll open up some more content that we want to get into. A reputation for dominance. It doesn't happen overnight. It's built over decades. The YZ story is 50 years of iconic machines and groundbreaking innovations. Yamaha's new 50th anniversary edition YZs pay tribute to a half-century of championship-winning performance wrapped in stunning retro style. Check them out at yamahamotorsports.com, where you go to your local dealership. Kiefer and our buddy Dave Martinez both made it into Loretta's on Yamahas. Yeah, I don't have an excuse. I just sucked.
Mach 1's 767 miles an hour. Mach 10 is 7,680 miles per hour.
Okay. All right. There we go.
And I said we were going Mach, if it wasn't
You
for
said
these
Mach
rip
20,
starts, we'd be going Mach 20 into the
Yeah.
corners.
All right. So you were correct. Yamaha.
Going plaid is the fastest, though.
What is it?
Plaid, remember from Spaceballs?
Yeah, I do.
Ludicrous speed.
Yamaha Motor USA highs and lows. Do you have highs and lows set up? You want me to do mine?
Go for it.
Okay. So highs was Drew Adams second and Gage Linville third in Canada. Mm-hmm. Very impressed with our guys moving up there. Loretta Lynn's as a whole, the qualifier was a lot of fun, so that is a high. It's also my low for my performance, but Sexton's ride, Geyser Hurling's splitting second 2-1 or 3-2, 2-3. Right?
Yeah, they brought us to one.
Yeah, brought us to one. But that was really cool to see those guys go at it and split, splitting motos. And then lows, I want to give a shout out to BarX mechanic Tyler Mickelson, and there's a GoFundMe. If you guys, I'm sure you saw that he got hit by Matty Jorgensen, broken legs and both legs broke in and something else.
Oh, I know. I just knew he did tip fibs. Both sides.
And I think something else. But there's a GoFundMe, but that's certainly a low. And then, just my results at Loretta's, which I do want to talk about here in a minute. And I had T-Dags. T-Dags concussion, so that's a low. AP, high for his ride, low for the last lap.
God, you have a lot of high and lows.
Yeah. I mean, just in case you didn't have any content. I'm used to Scotty and TJ, and they don't bring shit.
Well, it also helps even right before the show started, I had to keep asking you, so what are we talking about tonight?
Well, there's always highs and lows, and then I gave you the top fives.
Okay.
So, but anyway, do you have some highs and lows?
High is the outdoor series. It is definitely shaping up better than I'd hoped. I think both classes even, like 250s, definitely Hayden has established himself, but still looks really good with Levi's early performances. And Tom, I think we have a lot to look forward to in the 250 class. 450s, the Chase. The Chase Jett battle now, the way it's shaping up the championship. Chase now Jett's down, and then even watching kind of the hierarchy behind that, where Hunter established himself so early. Can J. Coop, can Dylan get in there? Can Harrison? I think all that's really interesting to me right now. Still waiting to see who the breakout 450 story of the year is going to be, because we kind of have 10 factory guys right now.
Yeah.
So there's always that guy, your Henry Millers, your Grant Harlans, your Cody Schock, that guy of the year. Curious to see who that ends up being. Right now, Freddie Noren looks like that, but I kind of don't include that because Freddie's been that guy before. So I'm waiting to see who the new one is. That's my high. My low is the complete and utter pitiful performance of my Loretta's regional. I was very confident that I would make 30 plus. I'm going to use the medical excuse because I literally don't know what is wrong with me. 3 days straight, I've had arm pump. And I mean physically waking up in the morning, and my left arm is so pumped up, my hand is numb.
Did it start with Friday riding and then it just never went away, or did you have it going into Friday?
It's been kind of bad the last couple weeks. I've been dealing with it worse and worse. I ate shit on a trials bike about 2 months ago before I went to Triumph, and I get to joke I have the trendy injuries. I broke the end off my ulna here and tore ligaments on my wrist, and I guess my ulna nerve is pinched, which is joking. That's what AC's doing, but there's him and Enzo's is worth. That's elbow down. And then UCL on this side's tore out on something else, so I get to joke that I have trendy injuries. But they weren't bothering me for a while, and then all of a sudden my hands has started going super numb. So then I just get insane arm pump on this side to the point, I think one time when I passed at least Chris in a corner, I was literally screaming in pain because every braking bump made it feel like my arm would explode. And I have pretty good pain tolerance. I've sat around with bones sticking out of my leg, I may come across as a wimp, but true pain, I'm usually pretty decent with. I was miserable this weekend. So, I completely and utterly failed. We did not qualify, and I thought at least 30 I would. I knew 25 was going to be a stretch, but I literally couldn't do I've never experienced this in my life. I did half a lap, and I was already, hovering with my hands over the grips, not even gripping, and I literally both arms were numb.
Yeah, so, I saw you taking your arm while I was watching you in the...
Yeah, halfway through the first lap, I'm literally already doing this. I can't feel my hand anymore, so...
you did the smart thing instead of, because That's kind of how I feel like I crashed. The Bradshaw crash was my arm was going numb. So
my hand slipped off like 3 times during the one moto. Honestly, the only reason, and I mean this in a good way, but also people can take this for what it is. Based on how the first moto went, even practice, I thought about going home, but the peer pressure from our wonderful friend Chris Kiefer committed me to staying because, even Chris said when I showed up the one morning a little bit late, right before the sight lap, and unloaded really quick, he's like, I'm glad you showed up.
Sunday,
I'm not going to give you as much shit now.
yeah. I was wondering if we were all talking like, oh, he's not here. You did say you were going to be there late, but we were starting to wonder if you were going to show. But I didn't ride well either. I crashed in the first moto, and we did a podcast with Kiefer, or I did a podcast with Kiefer yesterday, kind of recapping it all. But if you hadn't heard that, I mean, I'm just not that good, period. And it was very eye-opening. I think had I not fallen, I was 5 to 8 in my group, which I did do that on Sunday. I was 8th, but I was kind of moving back and forth. But it was eye-opening. It was just, I got arm pump, and it's just all excuses. I didn't ride well.
For me, I think the interesting thing you just realized, because I did an area qualifier last year, and then I just knew I wasn't training or riding, so I bailed on the regional, and I showed up at the regional, and no offense, like, the people I beat there, like I would have qualified nobody showed up hardly for the regional in 30 plus a year. So this year I was like, our region isn't that stacked. I'll just start I'll grind after the regional. I have work, not a big deal. The regional was very stacked this year in a lot of classes. Like A class, there was a lot of legit dudes who are going to another region now for 250A. Like I think none of the SLR guys, like Parker Ross didn't make it. Just Nico Israel, a bunch of them didn't make it. There was plenty of good guys in 30 plus, plenty of good guys in 25 was decently stacked. But then awkwardly, Chris's 40 class, which is one that there's no regulations really around, you can be X gnarly dude. His 40 plus was really,
mellow.
I mean, Chris was cruising around half a lap up. So some of the more of the regional class than I thought are stacked. It is kind of weird, just depending on schedule every year. It's a very weird event to get into. Some guys can. I hate to say the words cruise in, but for their skill level, kind of can. And then you draw the wrong region. It's like, oh, wow, a lot of good dudes showed up. This is what basically the moral of the story is be prepared. Don't just rest on your laurels kind of thing. That was my biggest thing taking out of this is I said a couple times I didn't think 30 plus would be that hard to get into. And I would like to say if I didn't have my issue, I know I have the speed to do it, but that would just show a little bit off like that, short laps, bad starts. Nope, guys are good. Everybody's trying. Everybody wants to do this. The people that are spending the money to go do it actually, put their best foot forward.
They did.
And I did not.
And I went in, I kept saying I'm being realistic, and Chris gave me a lot of shit for not being quite fired up enough, and we could get more into that in a second. But
he said we're very opposite. He said you didn't give enough fucks, and he said I gave too many fucks because he saw how I kept it in myself, but I literally was. I think after the first day, I rolled up. I said, Chris, do you carry a gun in your van? He looked at me wise. I said, give it to me. I'm going to walk over that pond and end it and fall in the pond so you guys don't have to deal with me.
Yeah.
And I think you could tell the look on my face was not that much joking.
Right. Yeah. I was just, again, I think I went into what I felt was realistic, but they all wanted me to be a little more a little more aggro, more fired up, more angry. He got Amber, who was there all weekend, to try to fire me up and withhold some things from me so that I would do better, and et cetera, et cetera.
Conversation.
But the reality is that the event as a whole for me was a high, just as I said on Kiefer's pod, is the camaraderie. All of us hanging out, the laughs we had, and just the attempt at going and doing it was fun. I think I am going to go do Lakewood in a couple weeks and try that region. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, the Loretta's experience for you certainly didn't go how you expected. It kind of went how I thought it would, but I also was very disappointed in my riding. I want to just kind of jump back into highs and lows real quick because Vince from T-Bolt USA, who I just did an Industry Insights with, that'll be up this Friday on VitalMX.com, sent in his highs, and he said Chase Sexton epic last to first place ride was incredible, all-time historic great ride. Hayden Deegan dismount, sticks the landing, immediately rebounds for second place and first overall. He's got a couple other highs, and his lows were Jetson's crash, Phil crashing. I don't think we've still heard any legitimate update.
They're still waiting for the MRI results.
Okay.
Based on what I I think no matter what, at least the one text I got, I don't think he's racing this weekend.
No, I don't think so. I sent him a text but never got a response. But
the wording I got back is I don't think he's racing this weekend regardless, but the MRI is still waiting back to see, like, is this a couple weeks off or is this, like, needs some fix?
Okay.
I don't know. They said they're still waiting for it.
A couple other lows from Vince was Joey's bike breaking, and that did suck because Triumph has been looking really good, and they had that mechanical. It kind of sucks for them, but every team's going to have those. And then Jordan Smith, his bike breaking, also first moto. So thanks, Vince, for sending those in. We'd love to have your highs and lows sent in for next week. MotoXpod@gmail.com. And don't forget that VitalMX has a really fun fantasy game. Go to vitalmx.com. You can sign up for free. There's prizes. This week's winner was RLE Mako on the forum. It's Rick. Rick Eating Knives is his Instagram. I know he's reached out before, but congratulations, Rick, for winning Hangtown for the MotoXpod Show League. Lots of fun there. Let's see here. We got 5 minutes before we get Malcolm on. What are your expectations coming into Thunder Valley? I said a minute ago, I don't think Jett wins. Are you kind of on board with that, or do you think Jett can turn it around and win?
You can never doubt him out.
Right.
I mean, the kid can definitely rebound. He could be better off what we think he is. I think the big thing is still starts.
Yep.
He'll be better than he was at Hangtown. So, I mean, even if he's only 90-95% and he gets a start and can sprint for 10 minutes, let's say theoretically, maybe he's going to struggle the last 5 to 10 minutes the most standing long routes. But if he can sprint like a mother, his explosive nature for the first 10 minutes, get a good start, and Chase is starting 10th, even if Chase rides like how he did last week, I don't know if it's going to be enough. So he could still 1-1 this weekend. I lean towards he won't. I think he will trade. I still think he's so gritty. I think he will trade wins with Chase. Maybe there's a chance that Chase gets 2 wins or gets both motos and we come out a little bit different. 250s is where I'm really interested. I think Levi will take, he's done very well the last 2 years at Colorado. Clicks with him for some reason. I think his technique is better than it was last year. A lot of those things. I would think this is the weekend that he breaks, the overall for Hayden. However, I also said this weekend, I think Hayden has stepped up, like even his techniques, everything. I think Hayden is really actually, I think they have equally improved, if that makes sense. I think Levi has really improved and his is more obvious. I think it's hard to say, Hayden was winning last year, but I think you look at the all-around package that Hayden has offered right now, I think he has also improved quite a bit over last year.
Yeah, I agree. I actually was a little disappointed in Levi's ride because in my mind, he's going to be equally as good as Hayden or even better. And he was definitely off this weekend a little bit. So I was bummed,
Hangtown surprised me. Hayden's raced there a lot as an amateur, and he did really good there last year. His first moto win, had a really good moto. I think, again, Hangtown seemed to be a strong round for Hayden. Mm-hmm. Colorado was a really strong round for Levi.
One more thing I want to ask you before we get Malcolm on here is with Jett's crash, doing that triple that nobody else was really doing, you guys kind of discussed the fact that, maybe he's doing something he didn't have to do. He's overly confident, or not necessarily overly confident. He's just very confident. And it bit him this time. Do you see him saying, next time, maybe I shouldn't do that? I don't think so. I think he continues to be,
I think he makes he makes my mistake. I think he learns off each situation very well, and his dad says, and I do actually believe it, I don't think he makes the same exact mistake twice very often. I think he will temper expectations on opening lap sections that he's doing that nobody else is doing, as simple as that unique situation. Is there something you're doing on the first lap that takes everything in the world to do perfect? Will you weigh it based off watering and conditions, things of that nature?
Yeah.
I don't think, he's not going to take his opening laps mellower because of what happened, but I think he will temper expectations and evaluate sections. Even his own team might look at him and go, hey, that thing you were doing, we get to another track later, has something there, that thing you're doing on the, every lap? Maybe don't do it on the opening lap this race.
Okay, yeah, but he doesn't stop doing these crazy things, right? Like that.
No, he's still, it's part of his DNA, the skill level, riding level he's at right now. I don't see that changing really because of that. I just think he will learn from his mistake. I agree.
All right, looks like we got our first guest of the night on. He's going to be brought to you tonight by Guts Racing. Andy Gregg and the Guts Racing crew continue to provide the best seats and foam available. If you want the same seats used by Rockstar, Husqvarna, Hep Suzuki, and many more, then you need Guts Racing. They have numerous color possibilities, staple or Velcro installation options, wing seats, and the best foam in the business with the Phantom Ultralight Seat Foam. Don't forget they have complete seats for the Talaria and the Super 73 and covers for the Suro and the Segway, and they strive to ship orders within 36 hours. So visit gutsracing.com and let them know the MotoXpod show sent you. Tonight, Guts Racing brings us from Rockstar Husqvarna, Malcolm Stewart. What's up, Mookie?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not a lot, man. Really excited to talk to you. Thank you for doing this. We missed you last week, but how was the KTM event or the Pierre Motorsports event?
Oh, it was cool. It was really cool, actually. It was always cool just to see those guys, everybody get together and stuff. It was kind of like a little championship deal as well. So to see my teammate RJ Hampshire to get that done on the Husqvarna, that was awesome. And then of course the on the 250 other 250 side on the KTM side for Tom Vial, only being the second year here, full time. I thought that was pretty cool. So. As far as, as an Austria brand in general for KTM, Gas, and Husky, it's a big deal for those guys.
Absolutely. It's funny, when you had to cancel, you kind of, the day of, really, I think maybe it was the day before, it was day of. And then, like, me not thinking, I was like, oh, I'll try AP. And AP said, yeah, I'm in, bro. And then, like, 10 minutes later, I went, oh, wait, do you have to go to that same thing? And he's like, yeah, he forgot too. So both of you were not thinking about it, but it's really cool that you guys got to do that and, meet and greet and all that good stuff. So, the Austrian group's doing really well. You guys are riding good. How do you feel right now being back at the Nationals? Some of these races, it's been talked about, you haven't been to in 10 years. Does it feel like you found the love for outdoors again?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've always liked riding the outdoor part of it. It's definitely been 10 years for me, that's for sure, on a lot of these races. It's bad. It's bad when you got to use the GPS to get to some of the tracks, right? So,
you forgot how to get there.
I laugh all the time. I'm like, man, there's been like a couple of track changes in the last 10 years since I've even raced this. So, but yeah, no, I mean, to me, I'm enjoying myself. I've had a really, really good time so far with the whole group. And, I mean, even in 2014, I had a good time. A lot of this, the time, between that was a lot of deal like with contracts, or a past injury and stuff like that. When I did race it at the last three, in 2022, I enjoyed it. So, it's fun. I think for me, what really made me truly love racing is whenever I got injured last year for a season-ending injury, that kind of just wakes you up, right? Like makes you realize like in 1 year how fast can things go, right? And all of a sudden you feel like you're on the top, and then boom, you're like man, like it just drives you insane. And unfortunately, a small little bit of that with my teammate from Hampshire, he go from winning the championship in 250 and then gets hurt on press day, and it's just like, boom, now he's just like out for a minute. And I'm sure it's driving him insane. So, but yeah, to answer your question on that, I have been enjoying it, and more so, I'm just enjoying racing.
Yeah, that's really good to hear, and we've seen that all year. I did an interview with you in Birmingham, I believe is where it was, and you definitely seem like you had that fire, and it's I love seeing it, man, because you're a crowd favorite, you're a media favorite rider. I do want to touch on something you just said, and you told our guy Lewis Phillips this in the post-race interviews. You mentioned some of the times that not doing outdoors was because of contract-type stuff. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for the listeners so they can kind of understand what that means?
Yeah, so the 2 years I spent at, for instance, I'll go all the way back to 2018. When I was at JGR, that was only a Supercross only deal. Unfortunately, what happened? I think Justin Bogle got hurt in Supercross. I filled the slot, and he was going to come back for outdoor, so there was no outdoor spot for me unless somebody got hurt. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, moving forward, the last 2 years after that, which would be 19 and 20. Everybody knows that Moto Concepts doesn't do outdoors, so that was kind of that kind of summed that up.
Sure.
And then 21, I was a fill-in spot for when Star Racing did their actual deal for when they first kind of took over the 450 deal, and I was kind of the fill-in guy for that. They had Aaron Flessinger and Dylan Ferrandis at the time, those two guys at the time. and it was just a Supercross only deal just to kind of help push that 450, Yamaha at the time. And again, it was a lot of it just Supercross only. And then I finally earned a 2-year deal with, Rockstar Husqvarna. And unfortunately, I got injured after 2022 at Salt Lake, and I missed half the outdoors, and I came back the last 3. And then, of course, last year I got injured. So, I mean, it's just kind of, it happens. But, I mean, I would say I never not liked outdoors or anything like that. I mean, there's times where it is a grind, and it does, definitely take a toll on your body and things like that. But at the end of the day, we get paid to race dirt bikes. That's the bottom line. We get paid to race motorcycles. So, indoor, outdoor, at the end of the day, I think, me being out there in front of the fans, in front of other teams, where if it's good or bad, just being relevant makes you better anyways. It makes it seem better. It makes it look like you try and you care.
I absolutely agree. I don't know how much you listen when fans, keyboard warriors, et cetera, make comments, but there was a lot of years where the fans are like, oh, Malcolm just doesn't do outdoors. He doesn't want to do outdoors. He's not outdoor. He just doesn't want to do it. Did that ever bother you? Do you even care about stuff like that? Did you want to prove them wrong? Like this year, do you want to prove those guys wrong?
No, because at the time when, from those times when my contract was set up, I was like, they don't know, I'm not going to sit there and argue with them. And, anybody can sit there and be a keyboard warrior, but they're the first ones in the line in Supercross and saying how proud they are for me.
Sure.
So I don't care. I mean, again, man, at the end of the day, I'm here to have a good time, have fun, and it's crazy. 10 years later, you're a lot older and stuff, and now, you're doing the outdoor series, so it's kind of flip flop. But at the end of the day, as I said before, I'm having a great time. I'm gonna race every race that is in front of me that I'm actually scheduled to do. And whatever happens, man. We ain't got time to sit here and talk about, anything like that. Let's just go out here, have fun, race, and make it a memory.
Okay.
So, opening the show, myself and Jamie here, we're talking about our terrible experience at our Loretta's regional. And I got into some old memories thinking of amateur nationals, Loretta's qualifiers, and I was thinking of some old Verb videos. I'm popping up kind of around the era you were on Canada Cowie, Extreme Team Green Cowie. I think it's funny thinking of, again, I'm going off of what James said about people always thinking you probably didn't want to do outdoors and take it seriously. I remember, you as a kid going to Loretta's, I've heard comments from your dad saying you would always start, preparing a little more around Loretta's. But the first time I remember you, at least in my mind, watching amateur racing, you taking it seriously was the year you raced a 2-stroke mostly Loretta's when they still had 2-stroke classes. You raced a KX250 2-stroke, I think, and then going in those Extreme Team Green years. Going back to that with, what your brother's success was, everything going to amateurs, everybody jokes about you wanting to fish, all that. How seriously did you take Loretta's, and at what point did you, if you didn't for a while, what year would you say you actually buckled down and took real serious shots at it?
At Loretta's, I was just more happy just to be there. I didn't, when I was a little kid, I was like, man, if I just make it under the tent, I'll be stoked. That's all. What if it's first or 10th? I just want to be on the tent, man. That's all I cared about. But actually, I would say probably 16-ish, yeah. So I was probably around Canada era, 250. That was probably 2007 or 8. I'm not sure, man. It's so far to think back. The 2-stroke thing was fun. I definitely had that was cool. The win one moto, that was one of the awesome things for me. And then of course, I don't know. I mean, I was a different, for me, man, with racing, I hate to, sit here and say it like that, but I don't regret any moment. For me, growing up, I didn't, I loved the racing part of it, but I didn't really was not I want to go to every regional and every qualifier or anything like that. If I could, the less I raced, the better. I felt like I was just I didn't really, it wasn't I have to do it. I was thankful enough, when my parents wasn't pushing me where you have to do it, but at the same time, they're we just need, we want you to go to Loretta's and try. So I would go to Loretta's and, just try to prepare for that and go out there and do the best I could. But I didn't really nothing really hit me in my mind on as far as like really taking this as like a serious job until I turned 18, my first year. Even then, like that was more like after, and I'm actually more thankful that I didn't have the mindset to quit, but I was at the point where I told myself I'm going to go, as soon as I turn 18, as soon as I'm going to do 1 year of Supercross. And if it doesn't go good, I'm going to quit. Like there was no like, maybe, no, it was like straight up, like I'm doing Supercross only. Like I think at the time was it maybe 8 rounds or whatever. And I'm going to do the East Coast. And if I don't do good, I'm quit. Like there's no outdoors. There's no future of Malcolm Stewart racing anymore. And I did great. And I'm like, I sit here and laugh about it. Like, what were you really going to do if you quit anyway? Like, you know, like what was I really going to do? I probably was going to become a professional fisherman actually. So, but yeah, just to get back, circle back, man, it did, none of it really mattered to me until I got a little older.
What, going back to it, since it sounds like most of your Lorettas, your best memories are probably not exactly 100% racing. What is your best Loretta Lynn's memory?
My favorite Loretta Lynn's memory, I would say was getting the, actually sign up. I think that's the coolest part for me.
Sign up?
Yeah, believe it or not. I like sign up. You know why I like sign up is because when that lady gives you that bib, for some reason, it just makes you feel like you won already. You know, I don't. It's just because I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's like you feel accomplished, right? Like people don't understand, like, and it's so easy to take it for granted, but like you already are a champion. Like as it is, just making it. Injuries, like financial situations, like, you know, bike failure, like anything can happen. There's so much that happens like leading up. And I couldn't tell you how many times like people have like, yeah, we went, you know, 1-1 and DNF and we didn't make it this year because of bike failure. That was it, you know? So it's just, I always felt like, and you don't realize that until you get a little older, but like for me, I felt always just like stoked to get a bib. Like that was my number one thing. And my mom always kept majority of my bibs, and I'm sure there are some somewhere. There all of them are, but for me, I think the sign up part was the coolest part for me. I don't know why.
I'm having a brain dead moment. How big is your age gap to your brother? It's decent. Is it 8 or 10?
7 years.
7 years. So I'm trying to think, would you, so you probably don't have too many memories of what it was like. I'm trying to think, like, because I imagine the difference in your experience to your brother's experience of Loretta's is pretty drastic with the pressure and stuff. Do you have any early memories of going like towards James's end of it, like the eyeballs, everybody, the hype, where you just like stand back watching all that?
You know, I can't sit here and think like I can't even, I don't even really remember like racing too much of like, I remember doing like a little bit of Pee Wee and 60 class, like, you know, doing them, but I don't remember.
Let's be honest, you're off hanging out.
I don't
at the
remember
creek.
me racing and him racing. I don't remember that part.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of that. And if I did, I was probably like the little brother he didn't want around anyway, so I was probably gonna mess him up.
Distracting him.
So, yeah, I was definitely 100% a distraction. So if you probably saw me, you most likely, if you want to know where Malcolm was, is probably at the game room or somewhere down to the creek fishing. So. Yeah.
Malcolm Stewart tonight, brought to you by Guts Racing. Yeah, it's kind of a kick in the gut here. You talk about the bibs since, as ML just said, he and I failed this weekend. We were at Fox Raceway for our regional, and we both failed. So
miserably.
Yeah, didn't go well for us, Malcolm.
Oh wow! Was it rain or what?
I suck. That's really what it comes down to for me. And ML's dealing with a little bit of an injury, so yeah, we both failed, man. We were out there with Kiefer. Kiefer made us look bad.
Yep.
So
But
you guys didn't get your bids.
No.
And I went the old classic because my dad used to say when I tried to qualify as a kid, like one region, there is no. If you can't make it off one, we ain't going to do 2 or 3. Jamie's got one more shot.
I have a chance at Lakewood in like 2 or 3 weeks, so I can do
smart.
But honestly, Malcolm, it was pretty eye opening that I am not where I need to be for that to get there, but. You never know. I'm going to go making another attempt. So, we'll see how it goes. But back to you. I want to get back to the Nationals currently. you seem to be averaging. You finished 9th at Fox, I believe, 8th at Hangtown. Your moto scores have been right around there. Starts haven't been perfect. What do you feel like? Is it starts that you need to work on the most to get up to that next spot, or what do you think you need to work on?
I mean, I just need a race.
Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of it is just more so of like just learning that like Supercross is so much different, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm not saying that the intensity is any harder or worse, but I would say like it's just different, right? Like with motocross, like you got 40 guys going into one turn. It's just way different. Where Supercross, it's only 22, right? So It's just different, and there's so much like the track. So like those first motos, like that first lap, dude, the track is so slick. It's insane. Like you can't see nothing or anything. So it's just, and you got guys out there just going wide open. So, for me, man, I'm like trying to get used to the track still, right?
Sure,
so
yeah.
It's taking me a little bit longer than expected, but I don't know. Like, I mean, I have been, getting a little bit better starts. I mean, so far I've come around. I think it was maybe 8th is the worst, like for the first 3 motos, and then this past weekend, Phil Nicoletti, he got me off. I got him all fired up, man. He cut me off right off the rip. I told Phil about it too.
Oh, I want to hear. Yeah, we're gonna get to that. That's after you finish this. We have questions.
Me and Phil were going at it, but I love Phil, dude. He was cracking me up. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just been like that. And I mean, at the end of the day, man, I'm out there. I'm giving it everything I got for those 30+ twos, and it's gonna come. It's gonna.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, I'm having fun. I know the results aren't the best, so we're of course where we should be, but it's gonna get there. It's gonna get better and better and better, and I just kind of look at this as a bigger picture, more so just take it moto by moto and enjoy the moment. Just enjoy it. Because if I'm having fun, I'll do better. But if I ain't having fun, you know how that goes. If anybody, you ain't having fun, you take a top 10 guy and he'll end up being 15 to 20 because, he's out there being miserable. So positive attitude, being really positive around the team. Everybody's having a good time. The team is just as stoked as I am being out there. So I'm just, like I said, I'm really in a very, very good spot and a positive attitude, and I'm just going to go out there and do the best I can.
Okay. Well, I want to touch on 2 things based off what you just talked about. One of my questions was, and you sort of answered it, is in some way you're building right now. Do you feel by the end of the season you could get a podium, or is that a little farther than you want to step, maybe a little farther than where your goals are right now?
I mean, I think I need to crack in that top 5 first, and then once I get there, then we can get the podium. But, this is racing, and you never know what can happen. Unfortunately, you saw what happened this past weekend.
Sure.
Jet went down. It was just crazy like that. Moments happen. Anything can happen. So I always felt like as long as you just try to stay in the pack, and in that, at least be in that top 8 range of like off the start or whatever, like things can happen, and it can happen pretty quick. And I think one of the coolest things for me, learning a lot actually, is when I see another rider, like for instance, like I was really like Dylan Ferrandis, he's a great rider. Dude won a championship in a few years ago, whatever. But so for me, like it's like seeing guys like that, like really learning behind him, just trying to trail him and see how he's riding and things like that, like figuring out how he's riding and riding around the track. And a lot of times I try to stick on to guys like that and just try to adapt. And if I can hang in there for the 30+ 2, great. And then a lot of times with the Moto 1, I'll just take what I learned in that Moto 1 and try to apply it for Moto 2. And, sometimes the results are better. So it's just learning, man. It's a lot of learning. It's different for me. Of course, it's been, 10 years, some of the tracks that I've been to. So a lot of the lines that I did take, they ain't even there.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of the things I was trying to hit, man, they ain't even there. So it's so funny. But yeah, it's funny, but it ain't funny, but I'm definitely, like I said, man, I'm down there and being around a really good group of guys down there, on the on the line, they're all like laughing at me. They're like, "You look lost." I'm like, "A little bit, but I'm gonna have a little bit." Hey, I say, "Don't sleep on me. I'm gonna be right there now." So,
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a good. I'm having a great time so far.
Good. The other thing you mentioned that I want to touch on, obviously, is the Phil Nicoletti thing. Jason Wygant told the story on the PulpMX, on the Racer X review show, that he was on the plane with you, and I think Phil was saying what happened, and you're like, good. So I want to hear your story. I want to hear what happened on the track, and then I want to hear what happened in your conversation post-race.
So Phil, I love the guy, dude. Awesome dude. He's so funny. He pulls up next to me and he's like, off in the gate. And he's like, he goes, "I'm a whole shot you. You ain't gonna see me coming." I'm just like, why you do it like that? So, gate drops and he lost a little bit of balance and moved over on me and like I had to shut off, right? He comes out first turn, second, right? So then, I think maybe a lap or two, or I don't know, maybe a few laps into the second moto, he goes down, right? And of course, right at the time, you never want to see any rider down, of course. But so after the race, we were parked across from each other. I'm seeing kind of like, hobbling around and stuff like that. And I wanted to go over there and, see him, but I never saw him again. So hours go by later, we're at the airport and I'm seeing him getting out of the rental car and he's hopping and stuff. But he seemed like, okay-ish,
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, "Phil, what was up with that, man?" I said, "The turn goes left, man. You going all the way to the right." And I said, "Didn't you learn from being at JGR? You used to be on a NASCAR team. They all go left." And I was like giving him crap, right? So then, time goes by and he was talking to Jason Wygant about, the crash and, whatever. And I started hearing them. I said, "Good. I'm glad he crashed." I said, "I don't feel bad for him anyways." I said, he was laying in the middle of the track. I should have landed on him. And I was just like making fun of him and going for that. And Wygant would start laughing. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, of course not, that wasn't the truth, but like, I mean, not the truth, that's how I really felt, but I was definitely giving him a hard time about it. So
good stuff.
But yeah, no, I told Phil, he pulled up this weekend, boy, I'm going right. Or actually, we got to go right up there any day. So actually, I'm going to go left. So just give him a little hint.
I love it, man. That's awesome. Thanks, Malcolm, for that story.
I was curious, so far this year, like between, bunch of guys on the Austrian side, we're talking about like Chase Sexton, Barsha, they were a little bit more vocal or notable as they've chased some bike setup stuff. Aaron's a little bit more settled in, but even he has switched for outdoors. Like he went back to, I think, Air Fork. There's TLD Pierce jumper. A lot of guys, like I see movement on components and chase back on old shock. Like every time I check your stuff, you seem to be pretty settled still on like the current work shock, current 48 foil. Like I haven't really seen you move around this year. And a lot of your interviews, you've been talking about working your way back. You've been very positive. Like basically I haven't heard some of the same stuff from you behind the scenes. Like, have you been chasing stuff this year at all, or have you been as settled in as it looks from the outside looking in? Have you faced some of the same challenges as the other guys, or, pretty settled?
No, I'll be the first one to admit. Actually, it's funny that you know more about my motorcycles than I do, so I think that's pretty cool. I don't even. Hey, buddy, if you ask me what kind of shock and fork thing you running, buddy, I don't even know. But
you and Aaron Plessinger, same answer.
AP.
I don't even know. I don't even know what tire I'm running, bro. So, but to answer your question, in Supercross, yes, I did chase a lot, especially really, really heavy. Those first probably 6-7 rounds. Very, very and I think a lot of it was, you test during the week and then it rained on the weekend. So it was kind of a false test. And then when we do finally get a dry track, it wasn't that good. Like, cause again, what you practice on, you try to ride the motorcycle as hard as you can in practice track, right? But everybody knows nothing replicates a race. Like there's nothing. Like, so a lot of the things that we were trying to test and trying to chase the motorcycle, we'll go and I'll if the team comes to Florida or I go to California, we test some stuff and then it rains at like Birmingham. And we're kind of like, oh, okay, well, we don't really know how this setup is really going to work. And then we go from Birmingham to, I don't know, I'm just throwing names out, but just like maybe St. Louis with the Dome or Indianapolis. and it's like, hey, this is a setup that you were supposed to, that you kind of rode with 2 weeks ago. So, you know, see how it is on a good track, and it's absolutely like not that great. So then you're like, oh, okay. So we kind of have to go back to the old setting that we were kind of riding on, but even then it wasn't really like what you were really satisfied. So, I mean, again, like a lot was just really like chasing and doing a lot of circles. And it just kind of got to a point where I'm like, look, man, like I got to just ride what I'm just used to. So I kind of went all the way back to like pretty much my Anaheim 1 setup and just kind of stuck there. And because I always felt like I kept trying different things and it wouldn't work out due to rain or whatever. And I would just go back to the original setup. So that was really my current setup that I rode the most. Was it absolutely the best? I would say it was something that you guys ride, and anybody can relate to this. Like, it may not be the best thing, but it's the most that you have most time on, so you understand how it works, right? You understand if it's you know, it may like be really good through the whoops or not as good in the turns, but in the whoops it keeps you straight, and you know, if it gets side to side or whatever, at least you know what's coming. So I've always been more of a person where, like, on a motorcycle, I like to predict what's going to happen, of course, for anybody. I'm not really looking for the perfect motorcycle, but I've always, like, try to predict if it's going to kick. At least I would kind of know. But, but, I mean, again, that's why things kind of got a little bit better for me towards the end. Is just we kind of just, like, got to a point where, like, hey, like, we're going to just stop kind of trying or, like, testing stuff because, like, we're kind of doing circles, and it was raining. Dude, I mean, literally, man, it rained every weekend. So at this point, so we're just like, hey, we're just gonna kind of just make, you know, small adjustments and just kind of work from there. And we started getting it really good, actually. So, but to answer your question, to move on for outdoors, you're talking to the wrong guy, you know, as far as experience, right? So when it really like comes to outdoor testing and motos, you know, I ain't really the guy to lean on. So I'm really like open ears, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so I don't even know who's setting. I'm probably running some. I'm probably a mixture of like Chase, AP, you know, some Barsha setting. They're
little this, little that.
One. Yeah, a little bit, a little this, a little that. So, but yeah, I ain't took my forks off. I ain't took my shock off, but it's out there. Hey, but at the end of the day, I'm going out there. I'm doing everything I can to go out there and do the best I can. So, it ain't doing nothing crazy. So, like I said, I'm having a good time. And that's it. So I come to mechanics there, and I may say, you know, let's just go, you know, a couple clicks here, a couple clicks there. But everybody knows, like, if you're only just doing the clickers adjustments and you don't got to take the shock off and forks off, you're in a good spot.
Yeah, for sure.
I got one more bike question for you, because I got this question kind of answered from everybody else this year on why they picked what they did. So Sexton, Plessinger are on the newer frame option. Barsha's on the older one, but he quoted that, like, he got, because of his off-season injury, he got an extremely late start and kind of had 1 day to go between the two, and he stuck with the old one. As far as I'm aware, you're on the older one, RJ, like everybody at Husky was. Curious how many times you tried him back and forth, if you did before outdoors, and why. You know, having ridden both of them, I can say as a general consumer, I like the one that, like, Chase and Aaron are on, but I could see many reasons why somebody of your guys' caliber, the way you guys pressure the bike, like, I could see why you guys might not choose that way. So I'm getting as, you know, why did you pick one over the other, and how much have you tried them back and forth?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, a lot was more so of just not a lot of time on it, right? For me, when I first tried it back in, I was going to say, actually December, believe it or not, December, I felt like at that time, at that moment, I knew that I only really have like 3 weeks before the race, three, 4, and I was like, I can't. When I first got introduced to that, I was like, man, that's a lot to really try to swallow. It because you've been riding something since October, right? So then all of a sudden something changes, and when I first rode it, you know, it had a lot of positives, but again, there was like things where it's like, it's very positive, you know, turning and this and that, but then there's some things where you're like, I didn't really like it through the rhythm sections or picking apart, right? But it may be good outdoors, right? And then, so, and everybody rides their motorcycles different. So I kind of was like, I I'm just gonna stay put. And I kind of felt like a lot of the rest of the group of the team kind of felt that way. But we were like, you know what, maybe we'll revisit when outdoors, come by. And then same thing, kind of like outdoors. Like I was more on the part where I felt like, again, I ain't really like got that much outdoor testing anyways, because I didn't really ride that much. I was 3-4 times, maybe 3 times before lining up at Paula, because a lot I had to do it. I was kind of helping my teammate RJ. He needed somebody to push doing Supercross, so the team was like, hey, we need somebody that's going to try to help out. So that's kind of where, I kind of got stationed at. So, and we just kind of left it from there. So, but yeah, I didn't really put too much time in it. And again, I kind of felt like for me, with the outdoor part, I knew it was going to be somewhat of I wouldn't say a false test, but I really couldn't sit here and say like, oh, this one's better than this, and really, really like be like, yeah, this is good to go. I mean, I know I'm a professional rider, and I know like, what frame was what and what's going to be better in there, but to go racing on something, I just kind of felt like let's just stay where we are, because I kind of have more experience on this frame. Yeah,
that makes tons of sense. Malcolm, I've got 2 more for you, and we'll let you go, and they're kind of short. I don't like to ask you a ton of James questions because I'm sure you're kind of over it, but I had 2 people send this question in. Your brother's been in the booth, and he can praise you while you're riding. He can critique you while you're riding on live TV. Do you watch the races back, and do you have any critique of his commentating?
No, I mean, he's just being like, a brother out there. He sit there. I don't honestly. I actually had dinner with him Friday night before the night before, of course, Hangtown, and he was actually telling me, he's like, yeah, I was actually complimenting you, and he goes like, I think you passed Barsha as it was maybe a few laps ago at Paula, and then he goes, and then I start talking about you, and you about blow it. So he's like, every time you like, I go to like say something about you, he goes, you almost crashed, and he goes like, and he said something like, he goes, my heart kind of spiked when you almost crashed, and he's like, of course, I was like, you're my brother for sure, so like, I want you always to do good, but he goes, man, every time, like, he goes, you just want to you just never can just be good for about 10 seconds. He goes, gotta just blow it. So, but yeah, no, he didn't give me a hard time, but I enjoy it, at least he's talking about me too. So, but he'll say something slick, like, you need to get out the way, we got other riders coming through and whatever. So
that's great.
Hey, that's brother love. I enjoy it. And I'm okay with it. At least he's throwing shots at me, and I laugh about it, and he'll text me and stuff about it. But yeah, at least he's being cool about it.
Nice.
It's so funny. As I saw somebody on our forum mention this week, they're like, I feel like James's voice almost sounds a little nervous when Malcolm pops up on the TV and he goes to talk about him. Well, now we know why.
Yeah, because he is.
Yeah. That little boy, that 10 seconds, he's stressed.
I got actually one last question for you from my end. Nate Ramsey, working with him. You've been on a bunch of different teams over the years. Really cool experience with RJ, Wayne, and Tyler this year. So Nate gets, I believe, would have to be his first time as a team manager. What have you thought of Nate in that role? What is he good at in a sense? Like, team manager to me is such a wide-ranging role in moto. I've had people ask me, what does a team manager do? And I feel like on every team it's very different. Some are very rider-focused. Some are very, organizational-focused, etc. What's Nate like?
I would say, like, the good news for me is I got to experience a little bit of that with Nate back in 2012 and 13.
JDR days.
JDR days. So me and Nate actually go way back in a relationship on that. So, but, I would describe Nate, he's of course, like, very, very, positive, but at the same time, I like about him because, he's done it. He's raced. He's had, a great successful career when he was racing. So when a rider talks about, like, if it's nerves or even like on pump or whatever those case may be, like, he's very, very like, hey, like, I'm gonna give you what I did or what I used to do, like, give him his own, like, personal input. And I think that, like, as a rider, I felt like that's pretty awesome for him, instead of like some guys that maybe, team managers or whatever, just kind of very like, oh, you're just being a baby, you know, just go out there and ride. So
Right.
I feel like for him, he's very like conservative and really like wants the best out of your riders. And I feel like he's more like, you know, more laid back, but also, you know, again, he wants the best out of us. So he takes his job serious, just like the rest of everybody else is on the team. And I one thing, like, we may not have the biggest team, but we're, you know, very small individual, and everybody plays a great role. And I feel like everybody does like more than what their job is, you know, what their description is. So I think that's like a big positive on that. But I would say, like, as far as on Nate Ramsey, like, as being a team manager, he's awesome. He's a great guy, and he definitely goes out there and he wants the riders to go out there and do the best he can. And he gives like a lot of great input on the track, and he was, you know, and he go out there and, you know, I would say at least like on the riding thing for me, like, he was saying, like, and he's very, very realistic. Like, you know, the first race for me, like at Paula, right? And he knew, like, he was like, look, dude, like, it's been a while since you've raced here. Like, we're outdoors. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. He goes, we're not even looking, you know, we're not going to shoot for what place you need to be. All we care about is you go out there and give it 110%, both motos. That's it. And we'll deal with the results later and build from there. So we did. I mean, I went out there and did that. We got just shy of that top 10, and he was stoked, right? So I think, like, just kind of going out there and not saying you don't got no pressure, but like at the same time, it's like, you know, you got a team manager just like, hey, look, dude, just go out there and give it everything you got. Like, we'll deal with the results when you get back. Like, I feel like that is so much more positive than some team managers or other teams I've been on that's been like, hey, dude, like, bro, you need to go out there and top 5 this thing or don't come back to the truck. And, you know, so I
Yeah.
you know, I mean, again, I've been on some teams that are like that, man. It's like, it's tough. So I just think, like, for him, he's very, very, like, you know, open-minded, and I like that.
Yeah, I'm going to close this out with, I had too much pressure on me Sunday at the regional because my girlfriend came to the first time she came to the race, and Kiefer told her to tell me, if you don't get at least a top 8, no loving. I was like, that's BS, bro. That's not cool. That's a lot of pressure.
Well, went out there, folded it up first turn, huh?
Nope. I got 8th, buddy. I got 8th.
Hey, see, boy, that pressure, oh, man. See that pressure.
Yeah. I came through. I pulled through.
There you go.
All right, Malcolm, dude, thank you so much for always being so good to us and having the time for us. And, man, we love having you back at the outdoors. So good luck in Lakewood. And, again, thanks for your time tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to a great time.
Absolutely, Malcolm. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right.
All right,
Thanks.
see ya. That's Malcolm Stewart tonight, brought to you by Guts Racing. Always a great interview. Good times, man, with Malcolm. Love having Malcolm on.
Absolutely excellent interview.
Yep. Let's jump into, because we got Chance Hymas coming up in a few minutes. We're going to do the X Brand Forum check-in. You guys know that X Brand is your choice for clear vision and a leader in motocross and off-road goggles. X Brand is used by many of the top GNCC riders, including the 2023 XC1 champion Craig DeLong, the 2023 National Hare and Hound XC1 champion Dalton Shuri, as well as motocross, supercross, and arena cross riders like Kyle Chisholm, Freddie Noren, Henry Miller, Michael Hicks, Richard Taylor, Jerry Rodman, and many more. Visit eksbrand.com, where you go to your local dealership, ask for X Brand, distributed through WPS. Tonight, the X Brand Forum check-in was a topic titled, I saw Jett's uncharacteristic nerves on the gate. And this was posted by a guy with the name of @BlackBomberDiesel. Within that quote, he said, it looked like he was on the gate, nervous. I think he was thinking about 24-0. That was on his mind. I just saw this, and I was like, it's kind of interesting sometimes how fans see things, or just people in general see things, because like, I don't believe Jett's thinking 24-0 again at all. I don't know that I believe he was nervous, and that's why he crashed. I think he was honestly the exact opposite. I think he was super confident and just made a mistake.
I think of Jett, I think of somebody that's, whether it's his personality, whether it's on purpose, or, you know, is part of his personality of like just not really worrying. He just doesn't seem to ever be bothered by much. I don't know how much that pressure means. Like, I can understand. I think you'd feel this is just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I think you'd feel way more pressure. The end of last season, like after you won the town, you're still perfect. Like beginning of this season, oh cool, it's still carrying, but it's like at the end of the day, like getting a true perfect season is huge. Okay, Ricky, nobody's ever actually done it 2 full seasons in a row. It's not really a talking point till late in the year. It's like, no, it's just racing for another title this year, and if the perfect motos come, okay, maybe like halfway through the season it starts to weigh. Like, then he would be catching, because Ricky had 30 straight and 31 straight, I think were his 2 records for motos.
Yeah.
We weren't near that. I don't, it wasn't like they were even going, oh, we're coming close to the Ricky one or anything. So I don't really know if any of that would bother him. He just doesn't seem like that kind of guy. We weren't in the conversation of it resetting anything.
Do you think guys at this level legitimately get nervous? I know we've heard about like Zacho throwing up before a race. There are the basic nerves, but legit nervousness of like, oh no, I need to accomplish.
I feel like you have to be nervous some way. Like somebody say, if you're not nervous, you don't care.
Yeah.
There has to be some.
Okay.
I think everybody's different. Like, I'm not saying he's sitting there shaking in his boots, but you got to imagine there's some part of him that still is concerned. If not, he truly is a machine of a robot. Because even Ricky would say, like, as confident as you think Ricky is, I've asked him, and he said every single weekend he was nervous when he showed up, because he said it was part of, like, keeping himself motivated, is he convinced himself that they've had to have worked harder this weekend. Like, somebody's had to have figured this out, like, how they're going to try to beat me. So whether that was real nerves or him kind of force projecting that self on him, that's even how he said he'd motivate himself. I've seen, Ricky quotes, he saw Reed go through it the year they went to Vegas and they were so close on the title. He said he looked at him on the line, and it's so funny. Me and Lewis did that interview with him. Mm-hmm. He said he looked over and saw Reed's head over the bars, and he looked out of it. And I went back and watched bar to bar, and sure shit, that shot's in there.
Really?
Yeah, he said he could just tell looking at him, and like, so it affected Reed that night. The nerves kind of got to him. Like,
I see it towards the end of the season a little bit when championships are online, but like on round 2, I don't really see him being nervous about the season.
Yeah. I think there's little things that'll make you nervous. Again, if they don't have some level of nerves somewhere inside of them, you would think they just don't care.
Yeah, okay. But do you feel like...
Actually, speaking of not caring, because Chris,
okay.
Chris stated that you did not give enough fucks this weekend, and I gave too many, which I can tell you because I was nervous pulling in the track. I was nervous walking around every 5 seconds. Were you nervous at all this weekend?
No.
You didn't care enough.
Yeah, I think when you said... I don't like the term or the sentence, you didn't care enough, but maybe I did come in with those like low expectations.
Yeah.
And maybe that did affect things. It might have, because I didn't truly believe I was going to be able to qualify.
Yeah.
So maybe that did. Maybe I should have believed more and been more fired up and more angry, as I was told Sunday and all that. And... yeah, and I don't know if I have that anymore. Like I told Chris, I don't know if I have that when I go racing anymore. Like, oh, I got to win. I don't. I'm just kind of like a 5, as he told me. Like, you're like Steve, so you're more like Steve than I thought. You're a 5. I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, I'm a 5 until something happens and I spike, which you've seen multiple times, and then I'm a 5. Like, I'm not like a 7, 8, and I maintain that for a while. It's just... that's just not me.
Yeah. When you're nervous and it goes bad, like, are you self-deprecating or what are you, like me?
Yeah.
That's Chris came out. I'm really like, it'll sound hard. It's like,
I don't think I'm as bad as you are, because I've seen you, but I get mad. Like I was mad. I was not mad. I was disappointed in myself Saturday night because of the fall, and like I never jumped the table after the start, the first big table before the triple step up thing.
Oh yeah.
I never jumped that, and that's a jump I should jump. But for some reason, it was in my mind to not do it, and like I was disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
I don't know if self-deprecating. I wasn't going like you're a piece of shit, but
I should kill myself.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
My friend Davey saw with me goes, man, I've heard you talk about offing yourself more in the last 2 days, and he's known me a long time.
Yeah, you're on a different level than I am in that regard. But yeah, so I guess maybe I need like you and I need to find a happy medium between each other.
Well, that's one time. Literally, Kiefer's looking at both of us. He's like, "You need to care more. You need to care less. Like you guys need to find a middle ground."
And I found a way to try to care more Sunday. It was not because Amber told me there was going to be like I was like, "Yeah, you're full of crap. That's not going to happen." So, but I just decided I needed to ride better. And also, the crash Saturday is what really killed me. I think I'd have been in the same area had I not crashed Saturday. All right, let's do Barnett Clutches clutch performance of the week before we get Chance on.
Real quick.
Yep, go ahead.
Somebody on the chat has commented how big of a nerd I am. We
Okay.
talk about a lot about Star Wars. What did I show you right before the show?
Oh, your text sound. What do you call that?
I asked him what the text sound was on my phone.
Yeah.
It's the seismic charge off of Boba Fett's.
Jango Fett's.
No, it's Well, sorry.
It's Jango in
yes,
Attack of the
Jango
Clones.
because it's Attack of
See
the
how
Clones.
big of a nerds we are?
Thank you. I'm getting confused. But yeah, no, it's the seismic charge noise from Attack of the Clones when Obi-Wan's chasing him through the asteroid field.
And my text ringtone is a blaster.
Yes.
Yeah, we're nerds. All right,
Attack of the
Barnett
nerds.
Clutches. Barnett Dirt Digger Clutch Kits have 75 years of experience behind every kit. Engineered for maximum performance, Dirt Digger Clutch Kits feature friction materials formulated exclusively for Barnett. Get yours at barnettclutches.com and get 10% off with promo code VitalMX. That's all caps. Look, you guys are going to have to replace the clutch plates and the springs and everything in your bikes at some point. So hit up barnettclutches.com and support the MotoXpod show and VitalMX by using that promo code VitalMX, all caps. It really does help us out. We appreciate you supporting our sponsors. I'll jump on mine real quick, and we've just got a few minutes before we got a chance on. I feel like Chance. I feel like the most obvious clutch performance of the week is Sexton Moto 2, but also Deegan Moto 1. Those are really good. They've been talked about pretty endlessly. So I'm going to jump into my main one is my personal from this weekend. Our buddy Dave Martinez did qualify for Loretta's in both his classes. He didn't believe he would. He went in very emotional. His dad has passed away, and his dad would love the fact that he made it. He was doing this for his dad, and he came in clutch, man. He pulled killer starts and rode really well and got both his tickets. And so my clutch performance of the week is Dave Martinez, our buddy Fireman Dave. He's actually one of Kiefer's good friends that I've become friends with through Chris. So, yeah, that's my clutch performance. Anything stand out to you?
My clutch performance was even showing up the second
Okay,
day.
Sunday, you just showing up.
Yeah, because I definitely considered not doing it.
All right.
No, but actual real racing clutch performance, it's chases all day.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue that one, right?
I mean, Hayden's rides were amazing, but by far chases, like, that's just...
Anything else? Like, I feel like, again, Jalik's been riding really well. Jordan's been riding really well. But anything I don't know if anything else. Like, AP. I feel like AP was pretty clutch, but then he sort of failed.
Again, I just can't, chases is just one of those ones
Yeah.
that's going to go... At the end of his career, it has to be, no matter what happens from here on out, I would think that still has to be in his top... That'll be in his top 5 all-time rides somewhere towards the end of his career. Still.
Fair enough. Again, guys, you can get involved with the MotoXpod show. Watch Lakewood. Send me a clutch performance. Watch, when you watch the GPs or if you're paying attention to GNCC, send us your clutch, or hell, you have your own clutch performance of the week. I would love to read your stories, as I tell you every week, about your personal stuff. I want our listeners to get involved with the show. It's motoxpodshow@gmail.com. You can send those in. We'll read them on the air. But yeah, that's a big one. We're going to work on getting Chance on the phone right now. Yeah, I think if Chase can win again this weekend, that could very well be another clutch performance. Like he can start pulling this lead away a little bit and building that points gap. But we do have our next guest of the night on. As I said, he's going to be brought to you by FXR, which is designed by racers for racers with industry-leading fit, finish, and performance. Progression is the name of the game with every new piece created. At FXR, we push our brand to the next level to provide you with the best products possible. They're used by Muck Off FXR Club MX Yamaha team, Mike Brown, Brock Tickle, Chris Kiefer, Benny Bloss, and many more. FXR has core moto roots, so visit fxrracing.com or go to your local dealership and check out all the lines through FXR. Tonight, FXR brings us from Honda HRC, Chance Hymas. What's up, Chance? Or Chance?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
What's up, dude?
On?
So, yeah, we have our guy, Lewis Phillips, right, that does a lot of the post-race interviews?
Oh, yep.
So there was a little bit of a debate on our Vital MX review between Michael Lindsay, who's in studio with me, and Lewis on how to say your name. Lewis is a Brit.
Lewis is struggling.
Lewis is struggling, man. So I don't know. Are you good with Chance?
He was trying to argue with me because he's like, is it like chance, like the word you have a chance, or is it like I hear you guys say it with an accent? Is it chance or chance or? And then he's over there going chance. Like Jesus Christ.
Are you okay with Chance?
Yeah, I didn't even know it was hard to pronounce Chance.
I didn't think it was
I think
either.
it's just the accent, right? Because when he struggled to say, he would go like, ants? So it was very entertaining, but Lewis was nervous that he said it wrong.
Word,
But as long as you're okay with chance, we'll move on.
Yeah, I got pretty thick skin, so
Yeah.
he can call me Chance or Chance, whatever makes him feel comfortable.
Perfect. Well, Chance, great start to your season, man. I have to say, I was a little surprised with how well you're riding. Like, I expected you to do well, but you are so close to a podium. It's coming. Are you surprised, or did you know, like, hey, I'm a top 5 guy. I'm a podium threat?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. I know how much work I've put in and where I'm at right now with the bike and my body, and and even my mental space, like, I just feel like I'm ready to be one of the front runners, to be one of those guys. Like, I feel like if I can finally get a podium and maybe just keep getting those second places, third places, or even a moto win here and there, like, I feel like at the end of the season, if I can just stay consistent, like, I can be in it for the championship or even a podium spot in points. Just my goal is just to be there every weekend and just keep progressing like I am. Like, it's tough because where I'm at right now, like, you're trying to find little bits and bobs here and there, and it's tough because, I mean, Levi, Tom, Hayden, like, they're all good. Like, they're the 3 best guys in the class, and I'd say right now I'm the 4th best guy. So I'm just trying to figure out what I can do to bridge that gap a little bit, and maybe not even bridge the gap, but just make that next little step that'll get me on the podium, even if it's just a position better start or something, you know?
Yeah, when it's
I mean,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, all good. I was just going to say, overall, like, I'm really stoked with how I'm riding right now. And I'd say, like I said, like, mental space wise, I knew I could be here. I had to execute when it mattered, and I feel like I've been doing a good job doing it. I mean, we're only 2 rounds in, but
yeah,
I feel like once we start heading back east, the tracks will favor me a little bit more. I mean, obviously, I guess everyone can kind of say that too, but
yeah,
I mean, especially Lakewood with the ruts and High Point, Ruddy, and I'm excited to get back east. Like, I feel like it'll be pretty good.
So you mentioned, like, trying to figure out what those little things are to just get that next little step, and you don't need much, right? You're real close. Starts are one of them, but what else are you seeing when you're chasing these guys down and you're following them, watching them? Are you picking up on little things going, oh, I didn't think about that line selection, or are you picking little things up to help you make that next step?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest one was when Hayden passed me this weekend. He was just using berms and just carrying speed where, I mean, I was moving around when I was out front, but obviously I knew I had Levi behind me, so I was trying not to do anything too stupid, but I was trying to move around and try some lines, and I think I was just searching maybe too much and just not in the right places. But once I got behind Hayden, I could tell he's just opening up the track and using the berms. It's just, he's good at adapting and figuring out lines and how to carry momentum. So for me, I feel like one thing would probably be a little bit of an easier fix right now. That could be a big gain. Is just it's line choice. Like, it's tough to hear the situation. Like, you can, after a race, you can sit there and talk like, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? But it's hard to do it when you're in that scenario and you're trying to go forward and you're trying to protect at the same time. So I feel like that was probably my biggest takeaway from it.
All right. Hey, Chance, your signal's kind of going in and out. Are you somewhere you could maybe get a better signal?
Yeah.
What's that?
The Wi-Fi.
Let me connect.
Okay.
Connect to my Wi-Fi.
Yeah. It's cutting in and out a little bit, but it sounds better right now.
I'm going to say, is that any better?
Yeah, that's a lot better. Yeah.
There we go.
Do you find it easy when you're in mid-moto to say, oh, I'm going to switch lines? Maybe it's a line I haven't taken all day. Can you do that? Or do you kind of feel like right now you stick to your lines because you know what they're going to do?
I'm comfortable moving around. I feel like I wasn't riding very cautious with Levi behind me. Just, I knew if I found a line, like, Levi follows pretty good. So I knew if I was going to try a line, he was probably going to try behind me or maybe follow me and not do anything too crazy. So, I mean, overall, like, I don't know, it's tough when you're in the situation because, like, you want to move around and it's like, that's all I do at a practice track. I'm changing lines so much, but like, when you get in that scenario, you're trying to play defense a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just trying to race in front of me and just pretend Levi wasn't there. And I was just trying to change up my lines, but I just but I needed to figure out how to carry more momentum without the stop and go in the corners.
Yeah, don't we all?
Oh,
Yeah.
I could have used that. I could have used that this weekend.
Yeah.
Damn. I'm curious, coming into outdoors, I know you were kind of dealing with some stuff. You had to bow out during outdoors last year for your knee surgery, and then sadly in Supercross re-injured it, so that must have been a very tough pill to swallow, having to bounce back from that. But then I can't remember if it was an interview with Lars or if it was talking to Jacob, somebody. I remember hearing that you were chasing some health stuff towards the end of outdoors, trying to figure out why you weren't recovering as well, maybe from the workload and things like that. What did you learn, before outdoors that's kind of helped you turn some of that around? Because I definitely, fitness doesn't seem to be too much an issue. You're definitely strong across the whole nose now. We've been getting rolling in the summer.
Yeah, I mean the knee is one thing for sure. I mean that was a pretty big pill to swallow, just knowing how much work and pain I went through with that, just to re-tear it right before the season started. But I mean, other than that, like I was in really good shape. Like I knew how much work I was doing. Like I'm logging a lot of laps. Like maybe not as many laps that I would have liked because I was chasing some bikes out before the season started. But I mean, I felt like I was in this position where I could have raced myself into shape. I just wasn't getting there. Like during the week, like I was struggling to finish my motos and I was like, I know, like I'm strong, like I'm fit, I'm cycling a bunch. Like my numbers look really good. Like just something wasn't adding up. And I was struggling all year till about Philly. And, yeah, I just did some testing and just figured out some dieting things, and yeah, that's my little secret right there. But yeah, I've found some stuff that I figured out, and it's helped my body quite a bit. And for me, that was probably just the next big step I needed to take in my training to get me to that next level. And I feel like that's where I'm at right now. But I mean, yeah, obviously it's translating, and I feel like everyone can see that.
If you don't mind me asking, if you don't want to get into it, but I am curious if was any of it oddball food allergies? Because I'm surprised how many riders have told me once they finally have struggled, they've gone and figured out like they're a little lactose intolerant, so they bloat and they have struggle with recovering if they have too much dairy with certain things in their diet, things of that nature. It's kind of interesting what I've heard. I think I almost want to say Dungy was one of them. I remember hearing at one point in his career. Did an allergy panel and kind of ran into that. There were certain things he was having that he wasn't like full intolerant to, but enough that at the level you guys are at, yeah, it's something that everyday Joe Blow, if they have a small intolerance to something, it's not a big deal, but it actually affects you guys when you're, trying to get every 1% out of your body.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, I mean, we put race gas in our bikes for performance, and we got to do the same things for our bodies. So, I mean, everyone's body is a little different, but I think everyone has in common, like, your bodies digest certain foods better and certain liquids and what you're putting in your body. And obviously, I kind of figured that out. Like, ever since I've figured out what I needed to change, I've just been kind of trial and error and figuring out like what my body likes. And once I got the direction, it was kind of easy to pinpoint what I could eat and what I couldn't eat and what I needed to put in my body so I'm getting enough fuel, but not too much to where my body can't digest it and use the food for energy. So, I mean, obviously, like, there's a bunch of stuff I cut out, but, yeah, for me, it was kind of cool just learning about it. I mean, there's nutrition, such a broad subject. Like, there's so much that can go into it, and I feel like everyone, you can read as much as you want online. There's so many different opinions, and one thing means this, one thing means that, and it's just trying to just read through the lines and just figure out what works best for you. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a struggle. Like I'm kind of narrowed down on what meals I can eat right now. But I mean, I'm at the point right now. I mean, I'll eat breadcrumbs if that's the only thing I can do.
That's what it takes.
Succeed, you know, like I'll eat anything. Like that's just I'm committed to the game right now, and yeah, I'm willing to do whatever. So to me, this was honestly a blessing in disguise. Like the diet thing is just a lifestyle change for sure. But yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone kind of goes through it at one point. Some people jump on the ship a little bit earlier than others, but I feel like all the greats at some point in their career, they go through some dieting phase or even through the whole career, you know?
Yeah, I think that you're right. I mean, that is a big step, and it's a key thing that you have to figure out. So yeah, I think you're 100% right.
Are we more or less narrow than Hunter? Because I've heard Hunter's got some pretty unique things. I've heard he's on a pretty strict race diet all around. So are you as narrow as of what I've heard poor Hunter is not stuck with, or are you a little wider spectrum than him?
Yeah, I'll say I'm quite as narrow as Hunter.
Oh wow, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I want to ask, to continue with that, like you said a minute ago, you'd eat breadcrumbs if that's what it takes. But are you a person that it was difficult, like you really didn't want to change your diet? Because I'm a super, super picky person. So to eat properly, I don't think I'd ever be a champion. Like, I don't think I have that. I'd just be like, man, I'm not giving up my ice cream, bro. I don't want to do it.
He could be the most talented rider in the face there, but Dark Side cannot give up his ice cream.
I can't give up my ice cream, man. I gave up Fruity Pebbles. I'm not giving up my ice cream. So, was that, even though you're willing to do it, how difficult was it?
I mean, I'm not a super picky eater.
Okay.
And, I can still eat, all the foods I love. So, at least most of them. I'm still eating chicken, salmon, your regular whole foods, and I can still eat steaks and whatever. So to me, it wasn't that big of a deal. Obviously at the point I was searching for anything that would just maybe help my body even 1%.
Sure.
I was desperate at the time, so that was just kind of like I said, I'd eat breadcrumbs, that's what it took. But no, don't get me wrong. It's tough when you're bored and you're trying to snack on something and can't really snack on anything. So that part's been a little bit tricky. But your breakfast, lunch, and dinner meals, it's trying to keep my secret a secret. But it's been a change. But honestly, it hasn't been too difficult.
Oh, good to hear, man. Good to hear.
So I know coming into this year, you're on a contract year. There's been speculation. I've said all the time, I don't see anything else happening. And it was, me and Lewis were actually talking about this on podcasts. It's funny when you walk around a national on the fence line, what you hear general fans saying. And I actually walked across somebody on, I think it was early practice day. And, he's explaining to his friend, and you went by and he's like, oh, chances, his deal's up at Honda. I can't see how they'd re-sign him. And I actually stopped. I looked at the guy and I'm like, please explain. He's like, what? I'm like, no, I want to hear your honest opinion. And I'm like, he gave me a little bit of thought before him. I'm like, who would replace him? Why? And, I pretty much shared my opinion that no. But what I was saying is, people have, looked at hey, HRC Honda, they looked at what Jen Hunter did there. They looked at your performances since you came up. And even though you've had flashes of brilliance, it's just, it's same old. People are harsh. It's your last ride counts. You have started outdoors excellent, so you were immediately changing that narrative. How's it been for you internally dealing with pressure, basically, hearing what people say, what people think, social media, etc., knowing what the expectations are of your team? How's that been for you this year?
Honestly, I'm doing great.
Oh yeah.
I spend little time on social media.
Smart man.
Couldn't care less about it. When it comes to people and their opinions, obviously when it comes to a fan and they're just they're saying whatever they want, and you just don't understand. You don't understand the level of stress and how much work that us athletes go through. And it's just for fans to be like, oh, this guy sucks and this guy doesn't deserve a ride. It's you guys have no clue what any of us are going through. And I'm sure some of you industry guys see like obviously some of you guys are closer to some athletes than others, but you guys have been around the sport long enough. Like, you know how much work and how much dedication it takes. And sometimes it just takes people longer than others to figure it out. And I'm just one of those people. Like, I got thrown in the deep end and it's taken me longer to figure out how to swim, but I'm starting to figure it out. Like I said, I've been making changes and I've just been nonstop working my butt off to figure it out. And like confidence wise, like I know if I perform, like there's an opportunity there, and I like my seat right now and I want to stay. So it's hard to argue that there's other teams better than HRC. I mean, I know Jett Hunter are kind of one in a million people, but it's a good team. To me, it's like family now, and they're working hard and they know I'm working hard, and it's just a good environment, and it'd be hard to step away from for sure. But like I said, if I keep performing the way I do and I feel like I'm only going to get better, it's opportunity is going to be there, and there will be more opportunities too along the way. So yeah, but when it comes to opinions and whatever, I feel like a lot of the racers are the same and they think what they think. But yeah, I do my own thing, and I don't really care what people, I don't really care what people have to say. They can say I suck and I don't deserve my ride, but I mean, I earned it in the first place. I mean, that's what people have said about me my whole career. So
yeah,
it ain't nothing new. So
a lot of these guys, ML, like those type of fans are like, if you're not on the podium, you suck.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, only one guy can win, and only 3 guys can be on the podium, and we have a full field. So like, and at that level, making the top 20, getting points is, you're a bad dude. So
we talk. Moto definitely struggles out when you look at like NASCAR. It's like, man, this guy's got 10 top 10s this season, 4 top 5s. Like that's like right now. There's a lot of silly season stuff going on NASCAR. Sure. I don't watch the racing much, but I love silly season in any motorsports. And talking about these guys, like, hey, this guy's building these. Like, there's so much positivity. Moto, we don't have that, man. No, you don't hear anybody quote how many top 10s or top 5 a guy's had this season. That's just out the window. Yeah. Was he on the podium? No.
Yeah.
Oh, screw it.
Yeah, he sucks. Fire him today.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's brutal, dude. It's crazy. Like you look at the MotoGP or F1, and like their silly season's pretty crazy, but it's like, dude, it's a big deal if they're on the podium or even like top 5. Like,
yeah. Like F1, there's a huge conversation about even scoring points is a huge deal.
Yeah, they're F1. So excited just to get a point.
There's like 5 teams that are just stoked to get 1 point, and they've got drivers that if they're in a championship level team, they can win races. But conversation different. It's very something different. That is definitely missing in our sport, and it's a disappointment to me all the time.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because those two sports are I would say quite bigger than motocross, but I mean it's tough. It's a pretty ruthless sport, that's for sure.
Yeah. I have one more question for you. It's off the subject of you, but it's something you view, and it kind of ties into everything we just talked about. It's a little bit of opinion. It's people probably not knowing the whole story. It also ties into Honda, the relationship, the Lawrences, the family, everything. So you're at the Lawrence compound. You're there working with them. That team is very tied in. It's very family-like. But then you have Joe out here on the West Coast, your 250 teammate. I have to ask honest opinion, I'm asking you your opinion, and, it's same thing. Opinions may not matter, really, because we don't know what Joe exactly is dealing with. But do you think, in an aspect that with the environment you guys have and the team being all in on the Lawrence is the testing there, everything, do you feel like it would be better if Joe was there? If you had another 250 guy to ride with, if you guys were working off each other, bike set up, the way the environment there is, do you ever question why Joe chooses California over being there?
No, I mean, the thing is, like, everybody operates a little different. Yep. Joe operates. He lives in Cali. He goes to the track. He works. He goes home, and that's all he does. I mean, we kind of do the same thing in Florida, but obviously, me, the Lawrences, Drew Adams, a couple of our buddies, like, we've all become family, and we spend more time together. And to me, that's what kind of keeps my gears spinning, and to me, it's like it's got to stay fun, or else it's pretty miserable. But
sure,
Joe's pretty straightforward on what he wants, and don't get me wrong, like I think there'd be some benefit for him coming out to Florida for sure. Like it just, like I said, it just everyone's a little bit different, and to me, I think Florida's helped me a lot, but I think it's also helped me a lot because of my relationship with Jett Hunter. And they care about me and want to help me. Not that they wouldn't do the same for Joe, but I've kind of jumped ship, and I mean, I've pretty much jumped ship to Florida and sacrificed everything to live out there. So
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of see that I'm, I've kind of proved to them that I'm willing to do whatever. And obviously I listen to them and whatever. But yeah, I think, don't get me wrong, I think there's benefit for Joe to come out there and even just switch it up a little bit. But I 100% get why he stays in California. He does his work and he gets in and he gets out. And some people operate that way. So yeah, I get it.
I guess I have one more question. I'll throw dark here at the end since I've been asking so
good.
many.
You're
But you talking about, like, again, we talk about this, like what people don't know that people go through. So a lot of people probably look at you as your amateur career. Hey, you were on Team Green. You had when you first went big bike, you kind of had your coming out. Like you had a good super mini year. First big bike year was a huge coming out for you. You get you had opportunities. You end up going to Honda, they kind of the first HRC amateur kid in like 20 years since probably Tommy Hahn got picked up at amateur straight to HRC. Like, big deal.
Yeah.
A lot of people look at, oh, you're the Lawrences. You have all the tools. Everything's handed to you, blah, blah, blah. I'll just state what I've even seen from the outside looking in. Like, hey, you went there. As far as I'm aware, like, you're working on your own bikes. You're doing the majority of your work. Your dad would come out and help you, but you're changing your own engines. You're grinding. You're not on, my understanding, Big Mike Country. You're not hiring mechanics. You're doing a lot of this, making everything you can, make work to get a place out there, make it happen.
Yep.
The end of your amateur career was kind of weird. I do got to say one negative was Honda really hadn't handled an amateur in a while. So, like, the last year and a half of your amateur career wasn't the most perfect situation. Coming in with the knee injury, coming in and then immediately having, again, like, fill me in with some more gaps because it has not been an easy road. It has not been Chance Hymas got handed the perfect situation here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been sparkles and rainbows, I'll tell you that. I mean, like, I struggled all my mini bike career. Like, obviously I was fast and I got my Team Green ride and they thought I had potential, but dude, I was a little heavier. I was a little on the heavier side, and everyone knows that the Cali mini bikes are down on power compared to KTM. So I'd always start like dead last or like 20th, and I'd finish like 10th or something just because like all the fast guys start up front and I'm stuck in 20th. That was just my whole mini bike career. And then once I got on big bikes, like I actually rode a big bike for about a year when I was on my last year in super minis. And then once they're like, all right, you can race big bikes the following year, I was so ready to get off the super mini because I was like, dude, I'm a bigger kid. I can get on a big bike and I can feel like I can win. And that's just what I did. I knew if I wanted to have any shot at making this my job, that I had to start winning, and that's what I did. Like, every national I went to, I won at least a title or a couple titles, and won my first Loretta title my first year on big bikes. And like even the next year, I was battling with Levi, and he was the next guy coming up, and I was the best guy at Team Green, and I was only 16. Like, so I mean, everything was kind of falling into place, and then I started working with Lucas Myrtle, and then he presented the deal with Honda to me, and we were working on it, and obviously that was my road to going pro. But I still had a year of amateur left, and I don't remember exactly how everything was written down and when I was supposed to go pro.
Mm-hmm.
But like we talked about, because obviously I was pretty successful with the Futures deal, and then all the other amateur nationals around that, like I was pretty good, and besides Mammoth and Loretta's. But I mean, it was tough because obviously their focus was Jett and Hunter, and I was just an amateur guy, and they hadn't ran an amateur program in a while. And that was one thing about Team Green was
that is their job.
Yeah.
That's their job. Their Team Green amateur program is probably the best amateur program there is, and probably will be for a long time. So Yeah, it was also tough because I'm
Daniel
learning
Blair
a new
just started
bike,
crying.
and
I just
But
had to pick a little fun at DB there.
but I mean, I was learning a new bike, and then the team's learning me, and I was using Factory Connection, and those guys were using Factory Showa, and like I said, new bikes. So I was doing a lot of the testing with Factory Connection. They didn't have a lot of people on the new bike, so I'm learning how to test along the way, also on a new bike, and the team's starting to learn how I ride and who I am, and same with Factory Connection, dude. It was just it's a lot to take in when you're 16 going on 17, and you're kind of, like I said, you're kind of getting thrown in the deep end. It came to a point where I was just kind of lost, and like I just didn't know what direction to go, and I just felt like I kind of hit a wall, and I wasn't making any progress. And obviously that showed at Loretta's that year. I struggled, and I was supposed to race units the last 3 that year, and we kind of just abort mission on that one because I was not in a good mental space. Just like, dude, I just went and got my butt kicked in at Loretta's. Like, I didn't even get 5th overall. Like, in the year prior, I almost won the same title that I was racing that same year. So, I mean, there's a lot of doubt and a lot of questioning that they made a good choice with me, and all I can say is I'm thankful for it because it's making times like right now sweet. And I know how much work I've put in, and at that time and along the way, it's like people are saying what they want, and they made a mistake hiring me when I was an amateur, and
yeah,
they should have hired somebody else. But I mean, you look at it now, who else? At the time, I was next to Levi. I was the best amateur guy.
Right. Yeah.
And I was only 16 with a ton of potential. So I feel like that's starting to show now. Just I had to take a little bit to get it figured out. But
I've got 2 more questions for you. But ML, there was a YouTube question that somebody paid for. Did you want to ask that real quick?
It was something about marking.
Yeah, marking.
We had a user pay for this question. $5. We get to buy some pizza. Was Hymas marking? Basically the user wanted to know if you were marking Hayden, kind of knew where he was in terms of you coming up, or were you caught by surprise when he did get to you, kind of like his pace and gain rate?
No, I always knew Hayden was going to be good. I mean, he was a year younger than me.
I think they're specifically asking about Hangtown.
Yeah, they're like specifically talking about.
Did you know he was? Did you know he was catching you? Were you marking him?
Or was his gain rate did it catch off guard?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I could tell you it's catching me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a gut wrenching feeling. Probably like, oh, he's coming. But there's your answer. Okay. So 2 quick questions I have. You just said a few minutes ago that like Jett and Hunter are 1 in a million or 2 in a million. Right. When you train with those guys and you're on the same team with those guys and you saw what they did on 250s over the last couple of years, does that add extra stress, or is it a little bit of a blessing that you actually get to work with those guys and learn from them? Or is it both?
Yeah. Hey, glass is either half full or half empty. I'm looking at a half full, so
great answer.
It's a blessing for sure. Like those guys are really taking me in, and I'm starting to figure it out. I mean, Hunter started winning his titles when he was 23 to 24. I mean, obviously Jett did his really young, but it's like I'm kind of in the middle there. So there's pressure if you let it be pressure.
Right.
But it's confidence knowing that the same bike I'm on was as dominant as it was. So knowing that I don't have to question the bike.
Sure.
And I just need to make sure I'm ready to go. I think that's a big deal for me.
Okay. My last question for you, Aiden Kiefer wanted me to ask you about, you're young and you kind of talked about making the move to Florida and training with those guys and, moving away from mom and dad at a young age. Just kind of talk about that experience. Was that difficult as a young kid? Aiden's kind of doing that right now. He's been out east working with Brownie and some of those guys away from mom and dad at, a relatively young age. Not always easy.
No, not at all. It's obviously at first you're pretty stoked about it. You're going somewhere new that you've never done before, and you got some, like, I was friends with Jett and a couple other buddies, and I was like, this is gonna be pretty fun. And then it kind of, you get a month or 2 down the road, and you're like, dude, everything's so different. Like you kind of start. And the situation I was in at the time, I wasn't doing very good, so I'm just questioning everything I was doing. And I mean, it's tough. You're moving away from everyone you know, all your friends, all your family, and you're kind of going to this new place and don't really know what to expect. So it's a culture change in Idaho compared to Florida. It's a completely different world.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's tough for sure. Like you got to have some pretty thick skin to get through those first couple for a few months and, just stick with it.
Well, I see a lot of success coming your way, man. It's been very impressive, and we look forward to seeing you continue to progress through this season, man. And thanks for your time. I think you've been on the show twice in the last month and a half, so thank you for saying yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Good chatting about it all, but yeah, you guys have a good one.
You too, man. Get it done this weekend. Let's get on the podium.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. See ya.
Time.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye. That's Chance Hymas tonight, brought to you by FXR. A couple of really good interviews tonight. Thanks to those guys for coming on. Anything stand out from that to you? Smart kid.
No, he is. And like I said, I can't stress enough, not spending a lot. I know Chance a little bit from the amateurs. I got to know him just a little bit, be around him for a couple shoots and stuff, and just talking to his dad a lot and the team. Like, I was kind of aware of his situation. Again, like, probably looks like all rainbows from the outside,
Right.
but this kid has worked really, really hard for his opportunity. He's comes from a really good family. The way his dad's raised him, like everything. I think he's such a good kid. He's one of the easiest to walk up and talk to. If you're at a race and it's not super busy and you see him by autograph line, I swear Chance is one of the easiest guys to walk up and BS with. And like I said, just kind of funny. I've brought this up multiple times. I guess one more time is the whole walking around the fence line at Outdoor Nationals.
Yeah.
It's not like a Supercross. Supercross, I'm on the floor. Outdoor Nationals, you hear some shit on the fence line, and that was one of them. Somebody was just so abrupt about that. I'm like, oh, here we go. This is going to be good. It's interesting how fans view everybody's situation. You don't know what everybody's been through. On the outside looking in, probably looks like Chance has had all the greatest opportunities handed to him.
And failed is what they think, right?
Yeah. And there's a lot of every one of those reasons I could bring up and go, man, I know this happened or that happened, or like this isn't what you think it is. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, he's worked really, really hard for it. And
Good kid.
yeah, I even think like I'm impressed the kid handles the pressure as well as he does, because you think if you were the first kid that like Honda's ever picked up like his HRCs into amateur to pro in over 20 years. You are being put on the bikes that the Lawrences just dominated. The freak of nature's 2 in a million. Like, they even said get off the bikes. Like, don't get me wrong, the Honda 250 is a good package. It is not the star bike. I think the PC bike is a little better currently. The Lawrences made it look a little bit better than it was. Not that, don't get me wrong, they can win a championship, clearly, but it isn't the almighty winning formula. I don't know, just the whole situations he's been put on and everything he's been through, that at the point of what he's been through, he's got to be mentally tough at this point.
Yeah, and the glass half full analogy that he said, that's pretty impressive for a kid that age to be glass half full.
I think with everything he's been through and the situation he's in, once he gets to that next step, like say he starts getting podium, like I'm really looking forward to High Point. High Point, he was amazing last year. Build a little bit off Thunder Valley. Let's get to High Point.
6 last year at High Point. 5th at Thunder Valley.
Didn't he lead for a while at High Point?
I think he did, yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think once he gets there in terms of being in a championship, I just think he will mentally, like, handle it well and carry himself well. So I think once he gets there, it's on. All
right. Let's do our ProX Top 5, which this week is riders who did not meet their potential, in your opinion. And just so you guys know, motoxpodshow@gmail.com. Next week is going to be top 5 immediate upgrades when you buy a new bike. What are the first 5 things you do to your bike once you buy one? All right, ProX is rooted in racing from motocross to off-road and supporting teams such as Ampro Yamaha, Pro Circuit Kawasaki, and SLR Honda. They have been supplying quality components for almost 50 years, from complex jobs like an engine rebuild to simple maintenance, including filters, chains, and sprockets. ProX aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. Find ProX at your local dealer or visit prox-usa.com and search for parts for your bike. Again, if you guys are riding, you're buying parts, right? Maybe you go to your local dealership or you find another online retailer. ProX is supporting this podcast and Vital MX, so use them, man. See if you can get you some parts. through ProX. I've ordered sprockets and chains and stuff from them, some filters from my Yamaha. So we really appreciate them being on board. I'm going to start with a couple of our listener top fives. These guys had this is Steve Hall. These guys had great careers, but if not for injuries, life choices, or lack of guidance, they could have been even greater. Damon Bradshaw, great career, but he had the talent to be the greatest of all time. Travis Pastrana, same situation as Damon. Adam Cianciarillo, I'm not crying. There's dirt in my eye. Kevin Windham, if young K-Dub had the commitment that K-Dub 2.0 had, he could have done so much more. And Dogger, imagine if he had trained. Joshua Childers sent in. He just gave a list. Nico Izzy, Austin Stroop, Taylor Futrell, Jarrett Fry, Matt LeBlanc. Really love you guys get involved. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the guys at the show. Do you have yours? You want me to go?
You go.
Okay. So I have a couple of same. Travis Pastrana was my number one. Won a couple of nationals, Supercross races, Supercross champ, I think in 01, Motocross champ in 2000. TP was one of the most talented guys on a bike. We saw just how good he was at freestyle because of how much bike control he had, but just didn't focus on one thing. And he was great at what he did. He made a hell of a future or a hell of a career out of the path he chose. But yeah, one of the guys that I think could have been maybe one of the winningest riders in history. Who knows? Had he just focused on racing. So I was always very disappointed because I used to go to the old Texas Stadium Supercross races when I first moved to Texas, and every year TP was hurt. Every year. And all I wanted to do was see TP live and just didn't get to see it. Adam Cianciarillo, I think, is a big one. Again, great career, fan favorite, had highlights. Probably should have done a lot more. K-Dub's on my list. I put Charlie Bogart on there because in his youth, he could take a Carmichael to the limits and amateur nationals. A lot of talent. Injuries and career personal decisions, I think, hurt him a lot. I put Stroopy on there, Austin Stroop, and Robbie Raynard.
Yep.
Robbie Raynard with the broken wrist really just kind of killed his career. Those are my picks. All guys that great riders, right? And still decent careers, but just not what could have been.
Robert Renard, definitely. It's a little bit, that was my earliest days watching, but all the stories I've heard, what I've seen of him, I think Renard stands out in that one. Yes, Bradshaw. I leave AC off only because and TP falls into a similar category. I think if you look at purely their racing, like career may not so much, but like TP has accomplished so much beyond that and transcended the sport more than he would have if he would have stayed in the sport. So I can't quite, for me personally, let's put TP. I think AC is still going to do greater things off the bike than on.
I agree.
So I have a hard time putting him there. So I don't include those two.
Okay.
But I go the Renard, the Bradshaw, Stroop. I remember watching 2008 Glen Helen opening, I think it was opening moto or second moto, coming down Mount St. Helens, ungodly rough at the last tier before it drops into a very flat corner turn back for the Camelbacks. And I remember Villo's leading, and I think it was for the lead. Stroop comes down the outside edge of hill right when Villo starts braking. Austin just lifts the front end, hops down the last tier, like wheel tap, goes out to the edge of the track, almost to the fence where I'm standing. Power slide, like just the move he made on RV, I was like mind blown. RV carrying the number one plate, peak 250 career RV, and I watched Stroop blow his doors off.
Stroop was pretty amazing at times, for sure.
I'm truly, I think, I can't remember if Mitch has said it. I would imagine if you ask Mitch, who's the most talented guy he had not to win a title, it has to be Austin Stroop.
Okay.
We'll go with the easy one there, everybody says, like Jason Lawrence.
Yeah.
Lawrence is one. I'm trying to think of somebody more from like my era of like amateurs. I feel bad. I kind of like, because having grown up racing him a little bit on 50s and 60s and just seen his career, I kind of lean towards Baggett a little bit in that conversation.
That's almost. Actually, I think TJ sent me, our guys.
Like Blake really, if it was all harness, like between the wrist, thumb injuries, he had like, man, Blake was something else outdoors. Like Blake falls in that category for me. Cut short on the career. I kind of like, not in a bad way, but I put Blake there just because of circumstance.
That's TJ's, my co-host, favorite rider of all time. So I'll give you his list real quick. J-Law could have been amazing. Alessi was so close to being great. Jet Reynolds, one of the best amateurs of all time. Jett's career is not over yet, but,
Yeah.
AC, if he isn't on your list, you're delusional. And Blake Baggett, if it wasn't for Butler Brothers, he would have been the GOAT. Might be a little far, TJ,
the thumb, the wrist.
but he is a Blake Baggett homer.
Yep.
Scotty said Nico Izzy, Blake Wharton, Austin Stroop, AC, Ezra Lusk. Lusk is a good one.
I heard some really interesting things about the end of Warren's amateur career and the pro career.
Whose?
That really Warren's the end of his amateur career. Some of the guys at FC shared with me that happened that really changed my perspective on like how his transition to pro went. Because I remember one of the most infamous things for me with Warren. I want to say it was like Whitney or Oak Hill. It was one of the Texas Spring Nationals. It was the year I believe he was on KTM. He showed up and he won a title on, I think, a small wheel 85, a big wheel 85, so it was a super mini. He won a schoolboy 125 title. He won a title on a 250F and a 450F all in the same weekend. Mental.
Yeah.
Like Blake
was amazing. Yeah.
Blake does kind of fall in that category as well. He is an enigma wrapped in a mystery. His one comeback year where he got the fill-in, I think it was the fill-in at Geico later in his career. I went on a suspension test with Larry Brooks and Ross Maeda that December. He was going to ride for the Blue Buffalo, Slater Skins Yamaha team.
God.
We spent a day with him at the Yamaha test track. He doubled everything. We spent all day waiting for him to triple one thing, and he tried the main triple and framed it so bad he like bounced off the bike and left it after riding Supercross for like 2 hours and saving riding. Like, I was like, there's no way this guy's making a comeback because he'd been kind of off. And then, they kind of try to ride a day or two, and they're like, oh, he's doing something else. Ends up getting the fill. Geico was really good that year on the East Coast. I was like, what the?
He's an odd guy. Yeah.
I was like, what?
Maybe it was just the Slater Skins.
I trust me, the program was sketchy, but still, I was like, how is the guy I saw that could barely get around Supercross track doing this like a month and a half later? It's like 5 weeks later, he was killing it. Warren, I forgot that one definitely, it can be very considered list. That's very recency bias because more my generation, but yeah, that one's up there.
All right. Well, again, next week is immediate bike upgrades when you buy a new bike. MotoXpodshow@gmail.com. Flood my emails with this one. Come on, all you guys buy a whole shot device, or even if it's like a master cylinder cover, hook us up. I want to see the emails flooded with your top 5 upgrades for next week. All right, we're going to jump into the Evans coolant emails. Evans waterless coolant protects your engine because it always stays liquid. Steam inside the engine creates hot spots and detonation, but with Evans, the metal is always liquid cooled. Used by HRC Honda, Factory Beta USA, and Pro Factory Yamaha, and lots of other teams, regardless of sponsorship. Evans is in the bikes on the podium. I had a couple of emails come in, but I think this one's kind of interesting. It relates to both of us, actually. It was sent to me, but it said, hey, I saw your photos on Instagram that Veronica was at the race this weekend. And he said, when your chick's at the race with you, do you get more nervous? Is it distracting? Do you feel like you have to show out? And it's been a long time since I've had, like, my ex didn't come to races that much. So I thought this was kind of cool. I thought it'd be fun because Tegan was with you this weekend. For me, I was not more nervous. It was not distracting, and I did not feel like I had to show out. For me, it was actually comforting. I liked having her there. She kind of grew up around like off-roading, so she gets it a little bit. She was helping me out when I needed stuff. So, like, for me, it was really cool having her there. It was the first time we've gone to a race together, like where I was riding. So I liked it. I like having her there. I'm one of those guys that likes to have my chick around. I'm not ever the, man, I can't wait for this weekend. I need a weekend away or a day away or whatever. I like having her there, man. So for me, none of the negatives, all of the positives. So yeah, I feel good. How about you? And Tegan, your chick, she rides, so she gets it too.
Yeah, she races and rides.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for her being there, I probably would have gone and found a 12 gauge and blown my own brains out.
Okay.
Yeah, I was pretty over it. It definitely made me a little more nervous. Like I said, I had a lot more expectation on myself more than anything. Like I rode practice and honestly I'm not even joking, probably 7-8 seconds a lap slower than I'm there on a practice day.
Right.
And my girlfriend's telling me, like, you're doing good still. Don't worry about it. You're not riding great. I'm like, no, I'm riding like shit. And she's like, you're not riding like shit. You're just not riding good. Not as good as her comparison. She still ride better than me. I'm like, don't care. Still shit to me.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, so you're saying, we're busting with each other. She's like, so you're saying I ride like shit? I'm like, no, I'm just saying in comparison to my good to my bad days, this is not even a bad ride. This is like, take the bike away from me, cut off my arms and legs, just put me out of my misery. I'm done.
Right.
So probably the only positive.
It's still good having
the positive reinforcement because I had none left in me.
It's good having the support there and the motivation a little bit. I guess I was embarrassed when I had my crash. I was like, fuck. I didn't want to see her. And it was like dumb crash. It wasn't like violent. It was just I tipped over and fell down a hill. And it was embarrassing. And I think she did actually see it, even though it was from the far part of the track. So
I wish I would have crashed. I would have. It's actually
feel better.
It's funny. I will admit this. At one point on the Sunday, I thought about it. I'm like, if I almost wrecked during this race, I should just let it happen. Because I almost wrecked really bad Saturday. I landed off one of the step-ups and my hands were so numb. My left hand blew off and I hit the bar and barely saved it. And I thought, I'm like, if that happens again, I'm just taking it. Because at least then Chris can come up to everybody. I'm like, yeah, dude, I wrecked my brains out. I thought about it. But, good old self, what's the word I'm looking for? Protection kicks in. Every time I thought I was going to crash, I still tried to save him. Like, damn, that was my chance. I should have just let go.
Let go, get a little sympathy.
Yeah, I was thinking about one of the time, like, man, that would have been a good spot to crash and probably not get too hurt.
Right, yeah.
I could have got away with that one.
All right, that's it, though. Yeah, for me, I like having her there, so no issues.
Vinyl MX, address the serial number allegations. Oh, yeah, you're just blind.
Jesus.
You're just blind.
All right, yeah, so I went out in Chris Kiefer's garage the other day looking for my serial number on the bike because I needed it for the Loretta's qualifier. I looked on the headstay where they always are. It was dark in the,
Sorry, you guys said self-preservation.
Oh,
that's what
I was
for.
It was dark in the garage. I mean, I'm making all excuses, but it really comes down to I just missed it. But I can't see shit up close. I was looking in the area, and I just didn't see it, dude. I don't know what to tell you. So I stepped back in, and I was like thinking, maybe with the new bikes, it's like on the app. So I just stepped inside. Hey, Chris, where's the serial number on the Yamaha? And Heather's like, I can show you. And she walks out and points literally right where I was looking and didn't see it. So, yeah, fine. I'm a dumbass. I don't know. What am I going to do? I missed it. I looked there. I missed it. Make fun of me. Thanks a lot, Chris, for blowing me out. But it is what it is. That's the story. I hope you're happy. Oh,
I'm happy.
Right there. Great. So we mentioned earlier in the show that Lux Turner was supposed to be in tonight. He was going to be brought to you by Blood Lubricants. Since he didn't make it in, TJ just sent in a question, so we're going to do a spur-of-the-moment Blood Lubricants question of the week. Do you think all oil is the same? Well, it's not. It's a bit like food in that you can have all the same ingredients, but a great chef will make something that knocks your socks off. Blood Lubricants was developed from over 40 years of knowledge in the oil business and is used by many racers in the most grueling motorsports on the planet, including Baja, NASCAR, Indy, NHRA, sprint cars, motocross, supercross, and many more. Visit Blood Lubricants, BLUD, bloodlubricants.com, and you can use promo code VMX25 to save. I run Blood Lubricants in my bike all the time. I love it. I trust it. It looks as good coming out as it does going in. Just check it out, man. Bloodlubricants.com. I promise you will not be disappointed. My Blood Lubricants question of the week, submitted by TJ. He just said, did Jett being hurt motivate Chase? Is this proof that riders hiding injuries actually works? What do you think? Him going down, did that maybe step up Chase's game that day? I mean, I do feel like he's like, this is a little bit easier chance maybe to beat him. I do have, it does make it a little easier.
You have to think coming through okay, so here's my counter.
Okay.
No, because second moto, he goes down first corner. It's like, Jett already threw away a bunch in the first moto. I don't have to get through as far, and I'm still going to have a points lead on him. He could have mailed it in and got to 6th or 5th and been like, hey, I'm still making up a lot of points on Jett Day. Maybe I should play it smart. I'm already making up big points. No reason to throw it away instead of literally almost dying like 5 times.
So the ride of his life almost.
Ride of his life. I don't know.
But at the same time, you're like, okay, he went down. I need to make up every single point I can. He might be hurt. Well, I guess if you know he's hurt, then you could back it down, but he didn't know.
Yeah. I just think there
could be something to it.
I think there's just a lot of, look, I think more of it in this specific situation we're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. I think Chase had a lot more pent up shit to deal with. Getting beat by him all outdoors last year on the KTM Cruise. I think there was a lot of pent up, just moment where he just basically quit, give me a fun, just let everything go.
I think Lewis actually asked him, was that this like letting some anger out? I think he asked him that in the post-race interview. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of more what I got of that. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like, I'm so weird with the sport thing like that because, okay, riders, the whole, keep riders keeping injuries hidden. Okay, day of, the guy eats shit, you're going to go hard no matter what because he could be hurt or not. Down the road, as we had this conversation last week with Smith, it doesn't matter if you hide it. The people you don't want to know. Everybody talks. Every rider knows if you're actually goddamn hurt. If you're on the starting line, you think you've hidden an injury, 99% chance as the guys you're trying to hide it from, goddamn know you are.
Yeah, whether it's mechanics or video guys or
the only person that doesn't know
or...
is the freaking person watching behind the TV wondering why you're doing bad.
Sure. Yeah. Fair
Guy
point.
down the road already knows you're jacked up. Like, come on.
Right.
Everybody knows.
All right, 2 more things. We're going to get to the EVS picks for Lakewood in just a moment. We're going to close out with that. But Kawasaki announced the new 2025 KX250. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I'll just touch it. Yeah, we've got, I guess, kind of roundabout what we got this year. So the Kawi 250 is new. It just got announced this morning, or was I yesterday? No, this morning.
Yeah.
I can't. I woke up
Tuesday,
I woke up at 4 a.m. to finish the content for it. Jesus. Yeah, first thing this morning, of course, updated similar to what we saw with the 450 last year. All new bodywork, all new chassis. One thing I thought that was cool is, Yamaha, Honda, and the whole Austrian trio has gone to the point where their frames are the same. Their 450 and 250 frame is identical, except I think Honda, they slightly changed the cradle for the engine case. I can't remember for sure, but everything else is the same. Kawi has kind of stuck with their old edges. Like, it looks the same, and they say it's derived, but it is unique. Some of the thicknesses are unique, and it's actually different steering angle. So actually, the 250 is more relaxed. So the Kawi 450 in 24 went in 1 degree from the outgoing 450 chassis. The 250 splits the difference. It's actually half a degree out, so it won't be quite as on the nose, which I'm kind of excited. Makes me also wonder if you could put I don't think you could put the I don't know if you can put the 450 motor in that frame, but that actually has me curious now. So frame's a little different because the airbox is different.
Yeah.
So little things like that they did. The engine is heavily overhauled because the intake's up higher now. They put a counterbalancer back in the motor because the Kawi 250s kind of do rattle and have a lot of vibration. Lighter crank, different cylinder head. They've updated the valve angle again. Ejector, throttle body. Interesting one. They got the info kind of rushed out. We don't have dyno charts or anything, and I think we're not riding the bike till early August, but definitely the most overhauled 250 you'll see this year. The Honda 250, yes, is all new chassis, but the engine is almost identical outside the airbox and the exhaust system. So we have this year new Honda 450, new Honda 250, new Kawi 250. We're still waiting for Yamaha. The Yamaha 250 should be BNG. The Yamaha 450 might... No, it's probably, one more year before we see a mid-generation change with the 450. So 450, maybe a small tweak on it. We'll see. Suzuki's already got announced. BNG. KTM, any of the Austrian 25s that have already been announced basically carried over from the factory editions. They all have updated frames. Some really minor tweaks on suspension settings. And yeah, that's all of them. So
new bikes are coming.
Yeah, new bikes are coming. Like I said, Kawi's probably in dealerships in early August. Honda 250's in July, I believe. Honda 450's not till September. We're riding the Honda 250, I believe, in 2 weeks. We're riding the Honda 450 in a month and a half, and we're riding the Kawi 250 in a little over 2 months, from what I'm aware. And then the Austrian bikes will be somewhere randomly in between, sprinkled in.
So keep your eyes on vitalmx.com for all that information. I'm sure there'll be lots of bike shootouts and reviews and all the good stuff coming up soon. Everybody loves new bike talk. All right, let's close this thing out with our picks for Lakewood, EVS picks for Lakewood. You guys know over the past 39 years, EVS Sports has established itself as the leader in innovation and technology when it comes to designing protection gear for today's motocross riders. Athletes like RJ Hampshire, Kyle Chisholm, Freddie Norrin, Axel Hodges, and Travis Pastrana all wear EVS when they race, ride, or whatever Travis decides to do that day. Check out evs-sports.com and use the code VitalMX30 to save. Listen, whether you ride with knee braces or knee guards, I'm sure you ride with one of them. The TP199 knee guards and the Slaco, I think what they call the Slaco 96 knee guards are fantastic knee guards if you like those. I've worn them riding pit bikes. The EVS knee braces are really, really good if you're a knee brace guy or you're thinking about it. or even just, I always talk about the they call it the tug, the technical undergear, the shirts that I wear when I work out, or I wear them under my chest protector, the boxer briefs. They have some padded ones. I love that stuff. Check out EVS. They got a lot of cool stuff protection-wise that I'm sure you would like to use. Their chest protectors are good. Check them out. Again, support the show. We need you supporting these sponsors, so they'll stick with us and stick with Vital MX. It's really important to the process, so help us out. EVS picks for Lakewood. I'm going Sexton, Jett, Hunter. Those are my picks. I think Sexton continues the streak. 1-1. We're going to go 1-1 again. Jett's going to struggle a little bit, but not fall off the podium. I think he'll go, I'm going to say, I don't know why I'm even saying this, but I'm going to go 2-1 or 3-2 for Jett, 2-3 for Hunter. That's my podiums.
I'm going to go Chase wins this weekend.
Okay.
Jett second. I'm going to go J. Coop third. Him and Hunter traded out and probably a pretty tied result, but I think J. Coop gets the nod for first podium. 250s. Levi wins.
Okay. Oh, I like that. I hope so. Yep. I like that. And we need that.
Hayden second.
Okay. Deegs.
I'm going to throw some other. Tom DNF there last year. What, he got destroyed on the first lap or something?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't have a Tom result to go off of.
Was that in that first turn? Like when there were first turn crash there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So not Vial.
Either Tom. I'm going to give Chance. I'm going to go with the guy we was trying to show, Chance podium. I'm going to say Ty Masterpool gets his first podium moto. He was really good at Thunder Valley last year in the 450. I'm not saying overall, but I think we see Ty's first podium moto performance.
Okay. I'm going to go Levi.
Shocking.
Yeah. I'm going to go Vial. Deegs.
Okay. Deegs was only 8th there last year.
Yeah.
Can't remember why off the top of my head. I don't remember what was tied to that, but he was 8th last year.
Well, my other co-host back home in Texas, TJ said Jett, Sexton, and J. Coop. Scotty said Sexton, Jett, Hunter. And Jeremy said Jett, Chase, and AP, the cowboy.
Hayden went 4-9. Second moto, he threw it away coming from like a bad... I'm trying to remember. I remember watching him crash coming down one of the hills. Either hit a bike down or like tossed it over, sending it somewhere. Hayden overrode it that round, I remember, the second moto.
I feel like, was Lakewood last year when Grant Harlan turned it on? Was that the big ride from Grant? I feel like it was...
I don't know. Everything was about Ty so much.
Maybe it was Ty. Yeah, Ty, who's who I'm thinking of. Yeah,
that's why I said too. Ty, that was the first one where
that's who I'm thinking of.
4th or 5th?
Yeah, I don't remember his final result, but I remember him, like everybody going, oh, he deserves a factory ride.
Oh, 6, but he went 5-4. He got split weird because AC went 3-6 and Ferrandis went 7-3, but he went 5-4. That was kind of the first. But Harlan still was good that one. He went 8-7 for 8th last year at that race.
Yeah, I think that we had some injuries, but that's when some of the privateer guys started stepping up.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, look, here was your, Dylan was your last factory at 5. Then it was Ty Masterpool in 6, Marchbank 7th, Grant Harlan 8th, Frederick Norn 9th, 10th was Lorenzo Lucrucio, then Derek Drake, Welton.
Yeah.
Okay. We had 5 factory guys last year at this race, basically.
Well, good for the privateers, man. We love the privateers. So.
We still had Alex Ray, 39 DNF. This is right about, I think this is actually, I can't remember if this is the week Alex hung it up or not.
A-Ray.
He hung up the next week, and he made it to High Point.
I miss A-Ray.
Same.
All right, we're going to wrap this thing up unless you have anything else.
Nope. Only on the subject of A-Ray, I did have a conversation with somebody this weekend. I can't remember how we got onto it, about bikes landing in mechanics area. And I was like, A-Ray did that at Loretta's one year. Coming out of the left-hander right after the storyboard corners. I don't know how he did it, but also I looked up and A-Ray's bike flew in and almost killed me. I think Jeff Walker's dad, Paul, and I can't remember who else was standing in the mechanics area. Him and his bike ended up in the mechanics area, and he just hopped up like, hey, guys. We're like, how do you do that coming out of a corner?
He's A-Ray.
You have a left-hand corner and end up flopping it, not like crashed and ended up around and in the mechanics area, like where we're all in the barriers. He managed to come up and into the mechanics area under all the easy ups and everything.
Oh, God, I love A-Ray.
Jesus Christ.
Love A-Ray. All right. I want to thank our presenting sponsors, Racetech and Yamaha Motor USA. I also want to thank Guts Racing, FXR, X-Brand, ProX, EVS Protection, Evans Coolant, Blood Lubricants, Barnett Clutches. Again, support our sponsors, guys. Please do the best you can. Let them know you're listening to the MotoXpod show. email us, motoxpodshow@gmail.com. Play the Vital MX fantasy game. I want to thank Malcolm Stewart. I want to thank Chance Hymas. This has been a lot of fun. There will be no show next week. I will be driving back home to Texas, but we'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening, guys. We are out.